It's the middle of the week. Welcome to the AM show with me, Sweetie Abochi, and Benjamin Akakbu right here on the Joy News channel, your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Now, this morning, Denisia Pomeje will be serving you the first news bulletin for the day. And after that, Dr. Kwame Asasante, the head of European Studies at the University of Ghana, and a political scientist will be joining us to get into the stories captured in the various newspapers. After that, AM Sports come your way with Mubarak, and then we'll pivot into our big stories. For today, for our first belt of conversations, we'll look at this ongoing ambulance case. The NPP describes as malicious, scandalous, spurious, and baseless the allegations against the Attorney General, Godfred Yeboah-Dame, in the face of a tape released purporting to be a conversation between the Attorney General and one of the defendants, Richard Jakpa, in the Castle Atoforsen ambulance case, as they further described the tape as doctored and maliciously created to discredit the AG. We'll get into that conversation, assess the real situation or the truth of the matter. And then we'll discuss the emerging issues as the NDC say they have provided incontrovertible evidence against the AG and he must resign. And later on the show, later on our big stories, we have an AM exclusive interview with a political stalwart and a former presidential aspirant of the NPP, a man of many parts, Dr. Kobina Kennedy, right here in the studio with us. You don't want to miss his interaction with Benjamin Akakbu. Of course, you're invited this morning to join us with your comments and your thoughts, either via phone or across all our social media platforms for the AM show. Join us. Starting off with the AM news, Denisia Pomeje is coming your way. Stick and stay.
Hello, it's a wonderful Wednesday morning. My name is Denisia Pomeje and I bring you AM News. The presiding judge in the Atoforsen trial has warned all parties in the case to tone down public commentary or face significant consequences. Public commentary on the case have increased significantly after the third accused person alleged in open court that the Attorney General has been making advances towards him to incriminate the minority leader. Justice Efia also had an intense confrontation with the NDC National Communications Officer in court over some comments alleged to have been made by the politician out of court. Member of our Legal Affairs desk, Kweku Asante, reports.
It was a day of blistering and heated exchanges in court, particularly between presiding judge Justice Efia and the National Communication Officer of the National Democratic Congress, Sami Gyamfi, over some comments the National Communication Officer is said to have made outside of court. The court took particular exception to that, warning Sami Gyamfi to be responsible in his commentary outside of court. Today, the court did not go into the substantive case. The cross-examination of Richard Jakpa did not continue because of certain interlocutory matters that are currently before the court. But the judge, Justice Efia had a warning to all the parties to tone down on the commentary that have gone on so far around the case, particularly since that bombshell of an allegation was made in open court by Richard Jakpa that the Attorney General had made certain attempts at getting him to incriminate the minority leader. The judge had a warning that they should not get themselves involved in commentary that can actually scandalize the court and poison the minds about the particular hearings so far. Sami Gyamfi, speaking to journalists afterwards, says he does not believe he made any wrong comments. He believes and agrees with the judge in principle that the commentary must go down, but they will continue to make forceful points about what they think is right.
In principle, the caution of the court was in order, and it is something that we in the NDC agree with, and that is why right from the outset, we have been very circumspect in whatever we say on this case and have assured that the court is not in any way or form scandalized. I think the particular reference to me was something that, in my humble opinion, the courts, got wrong. And I took the opportunity to draw the court's attention to the fact that the said comment was not about this court or the presiding judge in this trial. I think that you are aware that we have a press conference at 2 p.m. to address the unprofessional and criminal conduct of the Attorney General in this matter.
The Deputy Attorney General, Alfred Tuah says the Attorney General himself is currently outside the country, has not made any decision as to whether or not he will recuse himself from this case. He's currently on official duties outside the country, and when he returns, will continue in the assignments he's currently undertaking. The Attorney General has come under fire. There are calls for his resignation or for President Akufo-Addo to fire him for that allegation that have been made against him. The Deputy Attorney General has also been giving certain indication as to what they make of all the public commentary that have been going on so far. Is AG around? Is AG intending to take any further steps about the allegations made against him in open court last week?
AG is on an official assignment, and he'll be back very soon.
There are many calls that, looking at what is happening, the AG should step.
That's the decision of the AG to make, but I don't see it that way. I do not see any tension. We are prosecuting our case. They are defending their clients, and that's how the legal system works. So far as we are doing our work in court, we continue to do it and nothing else. So there's no tension. I don't know the controversy we are talking about. A mere allegation has been made. And so if anybody thinks that he may want a committee to be set up, I disagree with such a person. And I don't see anyone who may want to even think that it's a matter that borders on the integrity of the Attorney General or any other thing. He's very resolute. He's well composed. He's out of jurisdiction. He'll be back to continue his work as an Attorney General.
The court is expected to return next week, Tuesday. Certain applications are currently before the court. The court will then hear those applications. The judge says she needs to make a reasoned ruling on that, and then the case will proceed. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, High Court Complex, Accra.
And let's move away from the courts, because recent power outages being experienced in some parts of the country are taking a toll on private morgues in the Ashanti region. Some private morgues in the region are struggling to preserve bodies with extended power cuts that often last more than 12 hours per day. The situation has left many grappling with unexpected fuel costs and hastily arranged burials. Nana Boache Yadom has more in this report.
Not just the living suffocates when the lights goes off and on. The dead also swelter. The current erratic power supply does not just affect our homes and businesses, but the home of the dead and the business of the mortuary man. In today's episode of Dumso Diaries, we tell you the crestfallen stories of morgues suffering from the intermittent power cuts. The recent electricity woes have taken on a new urgency, posing unprecedented challenges for private morgues. The relentless power cuts have triggered an alarming issue that goes beyond just inconvenience, but the rapid decomposition of corpses. The city morgue is among several morgues in Kumasi, bearing severe economic challenges as a result of the intermittent power cuts. Kwame Osueje is a mortician at the City Morgue Limited.
Do some here, fuel na company betono, enye fuel kitwa. Do something there, idea I had with my edumano, edumano, edu baby a more motage man, Scania Cody, Philly station for ni, Nasina Sefo. To do something they had to do something they are banning.
The company is left to spend so much on fuel. The situation is affecting our business. Something must be done for us to benefit. Families complain. We have to work extra mile to keep the bodies. Bodies are decomposing more rapidly than usual due to recent power disruptions. Kwame explains how frustrating it is to perform his duties.
I do that now. Yeah, attend that. No, do baby. Yeah, I say, "Kwanko cheki obi a body because in panic the body need by say bibinti on yahu want no kwese o de 2 years. Do time na oba be fa na bibi aye den eye kama. Ti wan ma wo attend that na ma ho anye ha na say bibisi a odi akojo dia e be bet nya afeti no ma bebere all bodies ne ho.
Say light in this so about this not at the same.
Oh, that was when fresh. At the Sawa Coco store, Akotonam, na ice na there. Afrim.
We do suffer a lot as attendants. The outages keeps the body dry, which is not what we expect. It is like losing the eyes on meat bought from the cold store. The bodies are infected and they are not well preserved when the light goes off.
So my chemicals, na yedi ho adwuma no. O man e available ekoni mu kama. Ba wat me anye ankoni mu na se bia body no yidu kotu fridge mu fresh sa se bia me ba beye. Na want me anye sa no mana my bed bed edum du so na body benya de benya infected.
The situation presents grieving families with a difficult decision to hurriedly conduct funerals while adding additional stress, emotional torture, and significant monetary strains to their already challenging times. Kofi Odro explains the challenge families go through. The plant sometimes refuses to function. The bodies are not well kept due to the outages. It's destroying our businesses. Families get frustrated anytime they get here to see their bodies dry. Mortician Kwame J is pleading with authorities to provide a load shedding timetable to help enhance his work.
We
plead with government to do something about the intermittent power cuts. We want something to be done as soon as possible, at least a timetable. For Joy News, Nana Boachidan Kwayadum, Kumasi.
And now some 900 vulnerable schoolgirls at the Boeman Senior High School have benefited from reusable sanitary kits. This is to enable them focus on their studies even during their time of the month. Plan International Ghana, who made the presentation, says myths and taboos surrounding menstruation should not prevent girls from achieving their goals. There's more in the following report.
It is estimated that some 8 million girls and women between the ages of 15 and 49 go through their menstrual cycles each day. This is said to cause anxiety, sickness, trauma for most, especially the younger girls. This is often accompanied by stigma and shame. It is for these that groups and individuals have for a decade decided to support vulnerable girls to live up to that time of the month. Plan International Ghana has, on the occasion of this year's Menstrual Health and Hygiene Day celebration, supported some 900 vulnerable girls at the Boeman Senior High School. This is to encourage them to stay in school at that time of the month and focus on their studies. According to the country director for Plan International Ghana, Constant Chona, menstrual health and hygiene must be considered a human right concern to achieve a period-friendly world.
To achieve together for a period-friendly world, we must strive toward the global objective of ensuring that menstrual health is rightly positioned as both a human right and a health right for girls, young women, and women. To achieve this, Plan International Ghana and all stakeholders must work together towards a friendly environment, where comprehensive menstrual health education is the cornerstone of the empowerment. We must try to eliminate the myth and misconception surrounding menstruation through age-appropriate and cultural-sensitive education programs. Where access to affordable and sustainable menstrual health products is a fundamental human right, we must work towards eliminating financial barriers and ensuring that menstruators, regardless of their socio-economic status, have access to a range of safe and hygienic menstrual products.
The group has also inaugurated water system and a girl-friendly toilet facility for the DA Basic School at Kwensim in the Jasika municipality. This was the situation before the intervention. This is to also enable young girls stay in school during their menstrual cycles. This, the headmaster of the school, Nyasogbo Benoni, says is yielding good results.
And that makes it that children to come to school every day because they have a place that they'll ease themselves during the time that it is needed. Now the facility is incorporated with the changing room for the girls who have as their mains. In those days, when the girls are in their mains, they don't come to school. It makes it that the attendance rate becomes very low because they don't come. When they are in their mains, they don't have place to change, so they don't come. Now that we have it, it has increased the attendance rate of the school, and now the academic work is going on well. So we are very happy for the standard and ultra-modern toilet facility given to us. Now we have a hand-washing facility also, whereby we can wash our hands to practice and maintain the personal hygiene.
The celebration saw female leaders in the Jasikan municipality inspire the female students to brace the odds of menstruation and focus on the education. Peter Senu for Joy News.
And Member of Parliament for Wa West Constituency, Superintendent retired Peter Lanchene-Tobu, has urged women in the Wa West enclave to take their menstrual hygiene and health seriously. He was speaking at a program held to educate young girls and mothers in the district as part of activities to mark World Menstrual Hygiene Day. Joy News' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
World Menstrual Hygiene Day is a global initiative aimed at breaking the silence and raising awareness about the importance of good menstrual hygiene management. To mark the day, Member of Parliament for the Wa West Constituency, Superintendent retired Peter Lanchene-Tobu, organized a forum to educate and sensitize women and girls in the constituency on menstrual hygiene and health. They also donated to them over 1,500 packs of sanitary pads. His first point of call was at Doromo, where girls from the various basic schools in the area, persons with disability, apprentices of dressmakers, and market women were educated about menstrual hygiene and health.
And all I have come to do is to bring young girls from the National Democratic Congress to help educate young girls in the Doromo traditional area about menstrual hygiene and menstrual health. So if you find the ladies around, their duty is to assist you. Menstruation should not be a punishment. That's why we're saying that it should be friendly. How can it be friendly if you are not educated? How can it be friendly if you are not supported?
Accompanying the NDC Wa West parliamentary candidate for the 2024 election was a national executive member of the NDC, Madam Cecilia Asaga.
So we just want to tell you that menstrual period shouldn't be something that should
Superintendent retired Lanchene-Tobu then proceeded to Asiedu and Punyuntanga en route to Wachau for a similar event. At the St. Ignatius of Loyola Senior High School, popularly known as Asiedu Senior High School, he donated 772 sanitary pads to the female students and urged them to take their menstrual health and hygiene seriously.
The acting medical director of the Ankafo Psychiatric Hospital, Dr. Eva Z. Kwao, has emphasized the need for greater public understanding and acceptance of individuals with mental health conditions. Dr. Kwao highlighted that people with mental health issues deserve the same love, care and support like everyone and should not be stigmatized. Speaking at an exercise to mark Mental Health Awareness Month in Cape Coast, Dr. Kwao urged the public to be aware of the available mental health care facilities and to seek help whenever needed. There's more in this report.
The month of May has been tagged as Purple Month, which stands for mental health. Within the month, many activities have been organized by mental health advocates to create awareness. In Cape Coast, the Ankafo Psychiatric Hospital and other mental health advocates walked through the city's principal street aimed at strengthening the awareness creation. Acting Medical Director of the Ankafor Psychiatric Hospital, Dr. Asiedu says one of their biggest aims is to reduce stigma and promote a more inclusive and supportive environment for those facing mental health challenges.
That's one, people with a mental illness are just like any one of us. They deserve the same love, the same care, the same supports, and we should not stigmatize them. We shouldn't look down on them and feel that they are less than others in society because they have a mental illness. And also, we want them to be aware of the facilities that are available for care, just like our facility, which is the Ankafor Psychiatric Hospital. We want them to know that our doors are always open to accept them, to listen to their concerns, and to see how best we can support them through the journey to wellness. So ideally, whenever we identify someone in society who appears to have a mental illness, who may be living on the streets, appears to maybe have been neglected by their relatives or loved ones, or may seem to not know where they are even going to, the first thing we would want to do is to inform the assembly about this, inform the police as well. They are able to do that together with the social welfare system to ensure that that person gets the care that they need. Some of them can be brought into the psychiatric hospitals or other facilities that are not psychiatric hospitals where they can get the mental health care they need. And sometimes if they require admission, they are brought to facilities like ours, the Ankafor Psychiatric Hospital. Interestingly, as the leader of this group today, I was very, very, very happy, very, very pleased, just overwhelmed with the support that we had from the NHIA, the Regional Health Directorate of the Ghana Health Service, from the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, all our stakeholders coming together to support us, to walk through the streets with us. Even when it started to drizzle in the rain, we were all there singing and walking proudly with our placards saying that we are here for mental health awareness, and I was so glad to see that.
Some of the mental health advocates spoke to Joy News.
Nobody should lure you to engage yourself in malpractice, especially substance taking. Many people are losing their lives because of this. Depression, anxiety. Many people are out there without drugs and they are performing so well. I don't want you to be a victim. If you are not mentally sane, you cannot go about your day-to-day activities. Your lifestyle, there can be changes. How productive you be will become declined. And support system will also will not be effective because if you feel sad, you're not happy, and it has become persistent.
The month of May be ending, but the mental health advocates say they want the awareness creation to go on.
Well, now let's do some business news, starting with the Bank of Ghana has raised some serious concerns about how Societe Generale is going about its planned review of operations. The parent bank earlier this month announced that it will soon embark on a strategic review of its business here in Ghana. However, it was silent on the structure of this review. Governor of Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, says they have been left in the dark.
Change resources associated with remittances are placed in the nostril balances of our commercial banks, and the banks have access to those resources to finance imports. So it comes to the broader Ghanaian banking system. I'm not sure if the central bank wants to go and chase those resources also to build reserves. At the moment, we don't intend taking those resources from the commercial banks. I think that the commercial banks should have access to the remittance flows to finance economic activity.
Now, MTN Ghana boss Stephen Blewett is linking improved investment into broadband connections to the expansion of the economy. Mr. Blewett says that's an area that could be explored to help in the recovery of the economy. Blewett spoke on the sidelines of the Ghana CEO Summit here in Accra.
So if you have a 10% increase in broadband penetration in a country, the ITU, the International Telecommunication Union, did research around the world. You see a 2.5% growth in GDP. That's significant, just from an increase in 10% of broadband penetration. So that means we need to allow that to happen. And to have that happen, you need to give people access to devices at better prices. We've got to make sure that we have a quality network. We've got to make sure the pricing is also good so that people have access to use data. When you do that, you grow your economy. I mean, that's the reality. So the important thing for us is that if you allow mobile or connectivity to grow, you grow economies. And that's a fact. It's proven around the world. So how we work in Ghana should be to allow the companies that are providing connectivity to grow. Allow them to develop, allow them to have the technologies, allow them to have the freedom to develop, because when they do that, they grow the GDP. And it's not because people take a narrow view. They look at us as telcos and see us as just as a telco, but we are a tech co. We go way beyond that, and we influence everyone's lives in terms of the services we offer on our platform business. So I think once you start to have that mindset, it allows for a growth of the economy, and that's the mindset we have to have.
On that note, we wrap up for business updates, but handing over back to Poma. Good Wednesday morning, is it?
Wonderful Wednesday morning. Okay, so that's it for business updates. We'll take a break and I'll come back and wrap up with the news.
This is the news review segment on the AM show right here on the Joy News channel with me, Sweetie Abochi. But in the studio with me, as you know, is Benjamin Akakpo. Good morning, Benjamin.
Bonjour, tu dis quoi? Mon nom c'est quoi?
Ça va bien, ça va bien. Ça va bien, toi bien?
Maybe I'll need your French teacher. Where's your French teacher now?
Is that Italien, Francais?
Hey, Saha. What's his name? Do you remember?
No, please. Let's do any points of view.
Anyway, welcome aboard the news review segment. We'll be getting into it shortly, but Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helps us bring you this segment every weekday. And they're offering you, if you're a man, prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. Just get yourself checked at any of their branches, starting from here in Accra at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard, then Kumasi, Kronoma here, behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Energy State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hansua, and Esiamanzama. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of the news review, we're joined by political scientist and director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, Ben.
Good to have you join us this Wednesday morning. I hope you're well.
I'm very well.
All right. That's good to hear. We'll leave it to you to share your quick thoughts on any new developments. I don't know whether it's going to be the AG's tussle with Dr. Atuforsen, Richard Jakpa, and that court, or it's going to be something else. But over to you.
I think I want to look at something different. I think 3 days ago, your network did something about fibroid cases that is increasing in this country. And they trace it to high metals in the people they found, the problems with. And the medical doctor was so worried about the fact that we are getting even children, people who are in their teens, 12, 15 and all that, who are now affected by fibroid. According to the doctor, it is an issue that normally is associated with people who are aged a little bit in their 30s and all that. Now you are getting children. And they said high concentration of metals in their body. This is very worrying signal for us because you are building a society where you want to have as many healthy people as possible to support the building of the economy. And so an opportunity for everybody to live a meaningful life. Here you are. We are saddled with this problem. And it comes back to the issue of galamsey and then its effects. It seems to me that our government is adamant with all the things we are saying because this is not the first time we are getting this type of report. We have got another one already from KNUST where they also talk about the effect that has led to issue of what renal cases and all that. First of all, we give power to a body like government to manage on our behalf, so that we will also contribute our quota to supporting the government to survive, and then it create opportunity for all of us. There are rules that accompany this type of enterprise, and we expect that the government will implement them to the fullest. It seems to me that this government doesn't care a hoot about all these cry-on calls, and today we have all these problems. What they should think about it is that, look, today is not you, but tomorrow, who knows? And for me, in a government that doesn't serve the interests of the people, according to Aristotle, then there is a problem with that government. There's a problem with its legitimacy. There's a problem with people supporting the government. So I think that government will listen to these calls and then act promptly, so that we can save Ghanaian society. It is not good enough to have a government where problems confront the society and all the people talk about fell on deaf ears.
Well, thank you for your thoughts, Doc. Thank you for making them bare. But we'll get into the papers now. Are we starting with the Ghanaian Times?
Yes, first let's look at the Ghanaian Times newspaper. On the front page, Ghana launches Vision 2057 as NDPC aims at elevating country to upper middle income status. Ghana commemorates World Menstrual Hygiene Day. Court cautions against commentary on 2.37 million euros ambulance case. ECOWAS countries urged to embrace digitalization. Let's get into the paper now and do some quick stories.
So now, before you get into the papers, just two quick thoughts. The Vision 2057. I say every cycle will have, we've been doing this, and Sebi Tafrache in Kosiaga. Recently I spoke to the NDPC boss. He's my friend, Dr. Brampa. But we keep doing these planning without any effect. I don't know. It's good we have a plan, but to stick to them, and usually it comes around these times where there likely could be a change of political cycle, and then it ends up where it ends up. But anyway, and there was a second story. I think the last one you took, the banner headline. I just wanted to. Can you take that again? So it was.
ECOWAS countries urged to embrace digitalization.
No, there was something else.
Court cautions against commentary.
Oh yeah, I wanted to say, and right after that, the two of them had press conferences and kept. It was funny for me because I knew that Sam Jemfi was going to speak shortly after that on our platform, and then later the presses happened. So I was just thinking, okay, the justice of the court, this thing she's saying, it's clear that afterwards they are going to do the exact opposite. But anyway, just quick thoughts on that. Please go ahead.
Well, they have come out to give their own reactions to whatever this case is. Some are saying it's doctored, others are saying it's a vendetta against a particular person. But let's get into the papers. So the Court of Appeal judge on Monday advised parties in the ongoing trial of the minority leader, Dr. Kesalato Forson, in the ambulance case to desist from making commentary pending the determination of the case. The Justice, Ifiasewa Saribuchi, sitting with additional responsibility as a High Court judge, issued a caution following commentaries made by persons connected to the parties in the media. We've all been following the case, so I'll just hold on that, do some quick stories, and then we come back to Dr. Kwame Sasante for his comments. GAD granted 10,000 Ghana cedi bail over illegal possession of police military accoutrements. Court dismisses 1.5 million Nana Oye libel suit. Ochehene calls for increased investment in rural communities. There's an editorial here. History Has Absorbed Me by Cameroon Dodu. And Ghana commemorates Menstrual Hygiene Day. That was yesterday, the 10th anniversary of World Menstrual Hygiene Day. And then Ghana launches Vision 2057, which Benjamin says we keep doing, but Nkosiaga. Minister of Finance currently working on MOU on exercise central bank governor. He was in the news this morning about the Societe Generale issue and how they've been left in the dark because They had mentioned that they were reviewing their existence here in Ghana, their business activities here in Ghana, but nothing's been heard about it since that's...
At a point, I saw a story purportedly from the mother branch or the headquarters in France stating that the head, at least there had been no such communication from the head, the group head in France. So we wait, but we do know that other entities have upped and left, and we're just hoping that SG doesn't join them, because like the former president said, once you have such a stream, no matter how many you are coming in, if you have so many going out, it could be like, you know, one step forward, two steps backwards. So let's see how it goes.
I think his expectation policy is just right that they inform the Bank of Ghana, the governor, if indeed they intend to leave, because their businesses are directly tied to the lives of Ghanaians and the bank. So
I mean, they can't just up and leave. If they are going to do that,
they should just let us know.
There are mechanisms in place that they will have to follow.
But Dr. Kwame Asante, any of these are some major stories in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Before I move on to another paper, any quick reflections?
Yes, I think I'll look at this development plan issue.
Right.
I agree with Ben, because every time we talk about this, as if we are serious about having a D plan that will help us. But if you look at developed countries, these are things that they do to be able to guide their conduct and the programs that they have for their people. We spent a lot of resources to develop this, and then it turned out to be something that we are not interested in. What kind of people are we? We have less resources, but the little that we have, we are not able to manage them well. I'm sorry. I don't know how would this one, where would this take us to? Because these plans, a lot of resources go into that. And there are things that reflect the problems that we have and the solutions that are necessary to deal with this problem. So when we develop this, and at the end of the day, it's going to be thrown away, then look, what have you attained from this? I think we as a society should decide what we want to do, and then make sure that we force it down the throat of those political actors who want to seek power. Otherwise, we must as well abandon it and then leave ourselves to fate.
All right. The New Finder newspaper on the front page, Salt Project delights AGI, that is the Association of Ghana Industries. NDC, NPP sharply divide over Jakpa Dami audio. CBG expands presence with 5 new branch openings, and NLA DG retains Best Public Sector CEO Award. Let's quickly get into the story of this NDC NPP sharp divide, because the audio was released yesterday. I'm sure we've all heard it, and there's a level of contradiction. But my concern really about this is that this is supposed to be an issue tried in court, and somehow the persons who are supposed to be trying this case are involved in the case. Now it's an NPP-NDC issue, when it's an issue of justice. But
I think, and I have refrained from repeating what Nana Boachi, Nana B, has put out in terms of the name of this justice of the Apex Court who purportedly had this arrangement. I'm sure that person did it in good faith, trying to, after all, there's a plea bargain arrangement, which the Attorney General has actually acknowledged was happening, was going on, per what we know. So...
No, it's been rejected.
No, I'm saying there was something going on. There was some arrangement, right? There was some negotiation on those borders. After all, why then was he meeting with Richard Jakpa in any case, right? But my point is, I'm sure by now, the Supreme Court judge is ruling, attempting to offer whatever help this person, and mind you, I'm not even stating he or she, this person was trying to offer. It just leaves a sour taste in the mouths of everybody. But listening to both sides, there are still missing pieces in that puzzle for me. And I still feel there are questions from both ends to be answered. The good thing, though, the justice sitting on the case has said that part of why she was saying these two sides, the NDC and the MPP, shouldn't scandalize the court was that she said it shouldn't create, anything in the minds of people, the court of public opinion, but that she wouldn't be affected by anything they are saying out there. I pray so.
And I want to see where this leading justice that the Chief Justice, Justice Tokono, launched and how it comes to play in this particular matter. She mentioned about transparency, and this is happening.
I knew you were going there.
You knew I was going there. I'm just curious to see what she says, what she has to say about all of this, because this is her department. But Dr. Kwame Asasan, do you want to react to this story before we could proceed?
Yes, I think the stories have just started. And I want to wait because day in, day out, we are getting a lot of information. There are questions that need to be asked, as Ben rightly said. And there are more answers that we also deserve as a people who have the right to know. So I will hold on and then listen to the conversation, but I'll end my submission on the fact that something that Samson Ladi said, that we need a body, a commission, a committee to look into this so that given the issues that are involved, then they look at it and then they tell the public what went wrong, what went right. I think I support that call, so that at the end of this matter will not be thrown into the field of politics and where it can be handled the way it doesn't ought to be. If a committee look at it and then they come out with their findings, at the end of the day, we will go home and then look at it and then inform ourselves accordingly.
Right. So, Salt Project delights AGI. That is on page 4 of the New Finder newspaper. The Accra chairman of the Association of Ghana Industries, Mr. Chonam Akpelu, has called on members of the association and business community in Ghana to explore the potential of the Songo salt industry managed by Electrochem Ghana Limited. Now, during an industrial tour of the Songo salt factory in Adam in the Greater Accra region, Mr. Akpelu emphasized the need for a drastic change in Ghana's approach to industrialization, urging a deliberate effort to harness the country's natural resources. The tour comprised members of both Accra and Tema branches of the AGI from different sectors, including agro-foods and cosmetics, among others. And he highlighted the importance of learning from each other and networking to promote industrialization. These and many other stories in the New Finder newspaper, like Parliament to resume on Tuesday. Application for special voting opens this Thursday from June 17th. This Thursday, 30th of May to June 17th. Yesterday, the EC had a press conference. I was there, and they got into all the details of who's qualified, what's your requirements are if you want to register to partake in this special voting. So we'll bring you updates in our subsequent bulletin. NDC and NPP sharply divided over this issue. So grab a copy for yourself and get into the stories. The Custodian newspaper now. Dame on the front page, Dame stay to protect public purse. NPP to NDC. 2024 special voting on December 2nd. Keep up your hard work, according to Ochinhene to Kojo Opon Nkrumah. Most of these stories we've already delved into. Baumia Floss Mahamat CEO Summit, that was about sometime last week. Ghana and the Olympic Games Mexico 1968, it's an editorial. And Dami will stay to protect public purse, that is the NPP to the NDC, during their press conference yesterday on their reaction to that release of the tape. Right, so these are just some stories here in the Custodian newspaper. Dr. Kwame Asasante.
I will look at the salt projects.
Right.
If you look at salt, what people call the white gold, is a very important commodity that is used for a lot of things. And I am happy that my country has taken the opportunity to mine salt, develop it to the highest. We want to see more of this so that other resources which are lying fallow and we are not putting them into economic and effective economic use will be able to turn them around and then get some employment for our people. You and I are alive to the fact that we have a large youth who have no jobs. So these ventures, if we develop them well, is going to create jobs and then make life better for people. That is all there is to it.
Fortunately, we have more than one natural resources. So if cocoa is not doing so well, I mean, we can look to salt to see where that goes. Benjamin, what papers do you have?
Well, I'm going to be looking at the Daily Guide newspaper and two others. So some of the same issues we've already looked at, but Samir Wuku is CEO of the year, and I believe this is the second time. Congratulations to him. EC holds special voting on December the 2nd. 2.37 million euro ambulance case. We're not interested in your politics, judge cautions, and that's to both the NDC and the MPP. AG will not resign. That's according to the MPP. And there's also Samira urges menstrual hygiene awareness. So I'll just take a quick swipe at those stories. But in terms of the AG issue, since we've already flogged that horse, and we know of the details now emerging, not just the purported video or audio, now a call of about 16 minutes or so. Now, you would notice that the NDC is demanding the dismissal of the Attorney General. Some have called for his resignation. Yesterday, I had a conversation with the likes of Professor Asiedu Nketiah, lecturer at the University of Ghana, Law School. He backs that call. Dr. John Osai Kwapong is iffy. He wants to know more before he can join that call. Martin Kwebu says he should resign. The NDC is saying he should resign or be dismissed, and that he ought to be prosecuted, and that if the president fails to do that, should they come to power, they will prosecute him. It makes for interesting conversation, right? You're wondering whether is it going to be tit for tat, quid pro quo, you do me, I do you. You remember at Mills, he stepped away from all of that, and he wanted Asumdwe, but it appears. Anyway, I'll leave the courts to do what they will. The AG will not resign. That's what the MPP is saying. Doc. So these are the bits out there. But before I go on, I'll just touch on, this will be the only story I'll do. Second Lady Samira Bawumia yesterday commemorated World Menstrual Hygiene Day in the Greater Accra region with a call on girls to prioritize menstrual hygiene management. The event held at the Odogono Senior High School in the Gas Central Municipality brought together over 1,000 students from 19 basic schools in the municipality. One thing that shocks me, and as a lecturer of political science, you know very well that the state is supposed to deliver certain boons to the people. One thing that never fails to surprise me, the fact that we have so many of our young girls having to go through quite an ordeal when it comes to securing menstrual hygiene logistics. Sanitary pads, even the most basic ones. You look at the cost of it, the taxes on them, the so-called local production, how it's not meeting the needs, how some of them are using pieces of cloth, maybe contaminated, and getting infected in the process, how some of them are giving their bodies away just to secure funds to get these. I am always very passionate about these because for a long time I was actually helping certain groups out of pocket to get them. So I know some of these problems. And for me, I can't get why, and it's not like a now problem, but any society that runs short of vaccines for children, any society that cannot intervene for everybody who goes through the menstrual cycle to get pads, something as common as pads, I don't know whether that is I don't want to use certain words. Over to you, Doc.
Ben, you couldn't have said it better because, you see, this is a major issue. But it shouldn't be. You want a society, but you don't want to support menstrual health care. I mean, it's difficult to understand this. I recall the NDC had a program like this where they were distributing sanitary pads to students, I think under the leadership of Nano Yelita or so. What has happened to that program ever since NDC left office? A good policy is always a good policy. And that is why in the minds of those who frame the Constitution, it's saying that anything that government starts government invests into it, you need to continue. What are we experiencing today? A policy will be just thrown away simply because it's coming from, or those who initiated it come from the other side of the political divide. It shouldn't be, because a good policy is always a good policy. And that is why government is nothing but a continuum. You continue from where the previous government ended its affairs. That is all. It's unfortunate, but that is why we as a people, we must come in and then make sure that these things are implemented. If they refuse, let us punish them. Let us punish them by voting them out of office. That is all. Because as citizens, where lies our power? Our power is in what? Our ability to vote and then replace those who are not ready to serve society well. If we have, leaders like that, why not? Kick them out. If you have those who are interested in managing the affairs of the state very well for us, maintain them. That is all. On that basis, they will be able to learn the ropes well and serve society.
Just to run this by you, there's an editorial on page 4, halting the dancing cedi. And I've been praying. I know prayers will not necessarily lift the cedi, as some time back we said, but the way things are going is I just pray. Because if you look at the dollar, euro, pound, as for the pound, if you're paying anything in pounds, God help you. Then on page 8, 3-year-old in Lewin accident buried. I feel really sad about that story. I saw a statement from Wizzy Empire or so and everything in between. But I'm asking, who's culpable? And this 3-year-old hit dead. How do we account for this life in terms of legal processes? I mean, it cannot be that some people can get away with anything. I'm not saying that, because they also allude to the police investigations in their statement. But I'm saying, what's going on? How come we don't know practically anything about this issue? That 3-year-old couldn't have died for nothing. The law must take its course. So that is one. 2 quick issues, those ones. I don't know what your thoughts are, whether you heard of the Lewin accident.
I think I will look at the dancing cedi. We have heard that this government is saying, you recall recently the vice president, took part. He was away outside this country, and there was a program with the CEOs Forum, and John Mahama spoke there. Then he also was invited to also speak, and then praising the way the economy is improving and all that. So I am at sea to hear that there is a dancing cedi. I mean, where do we go from here? All the time, managers of the economy will want us to believe that things are right. They are getting the basics right. But in the real life situation, you realize that the situation is different. Why is it so? Management of the economy becomes so difficult for our leaders, yet they still want to maintain power, or they still want to look for power. I think that we need to reflect on this so well, because I don't see why when people are looking for power, they do everything, convince us into believing that they have what it takes to manage the economy. And then as soon as they get power, you see them in all manner of reckless policies, and it takes us to levels that you and I don't know. And then they turn around saying that yes, attributed to all manner of factors within the system. All these factors exist, yet you said that you have what it takes to manage it. So there shouldn't be any excuse. Deliver or fix it. I just want to use the language of the president. So fix it. That's it. That is all that we need. If you can't fix it, then what's the business in politics? It's difficult. It's difficult. So NPP, if they have what it takes to manage the economy, they should fix the dancing cedi.
Let's get into a few papers. This is where I'm going to end. The Today newspaper says, hashtag bring back GN Bank national tour. In recent times, we've had Papa Kwesi Ndum talking about the billions, I think about 7 or so billion Ghana cedis that he's owed. Then our prioritized economy, former President Mahama said so. And then manufacturers kick against 5% excise tax on plastic products. The Accra Times newspaper says, NDC strips AG naked with incontrovertible evidence. Again, I always say that with some of these newspapers, if you pick one newspaper, you will see something diametrically opposed to another newspaper. So let's just take it as one of those, because I pick the Daily Guide or another newspaper and you know that it's going to be something very different. So let's take it like that. Akando accuses NPP of diverting critical funds meant for the NHIS. And then help resolve rising cost of cement. This is a major issue, the cost of cement. Yusuf Suleimana, the Bolibamboy legislator, tells government. Then be transparent on hotel sale. Afenyo marking to SNIT. This story has made the rounds. Yesterday it was in a different paper. Today, the Accra Times actually captures it, lifting directly from myjoyonline.com. We know ball. We know ball. We've been cited, so it is fine. Any quick thoughts? Rising cost of cement. Afenyo marking on the SNIT sale. He is actually saying, I'm wondering whether I can find any quotes of his here. He says, I don't think, he says SNIT must come out and even not only this decision, it must look at all their investments that are failing and explain them to the public. I'm sure that the TUC and other labor unions will understand if these things are explained, and they will take away Brian Echampon as a person and understand that let's not look at the form, but at the substance. That's what he said. Any quick thoughts? And we're done, Doc.
I think I'll look at the sale of the hotels, right? I have said, and I'll repeat, that we want to know why we are selling these hotels. So I support the call of the majority leader, right? We want to know, explain it to her, because at the end of the day, it's the people whose property you want to sell. So let us know. Are they working well? You have a hotel which we are told that is able to give us about 25 million Ghana cedis some time ago. What has happened to it that we want to sell? We want to know. Is there any value for money, analysis you have done? Share with us. We want to know. And then also let us know, everything that is associated with it. When there the issue of what? Conflict of interest. If there was something like that, did the person cure that, problem in there? Because in the area of conflict of interest, I'm not a lawyer, but they will tell you that you declare the interest. And there's those who manage the affairs will take a decision. Was that done? So we need all the questions and answers so that the public will have will be better informed relative to the issues. Let us remember that the public has the right to know.
The public has the right to know. Thank you so much, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, for sharing your thoughts with us, for having breakfast with us this morning. We wish you the best of the day. All right. And that is Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. He's a political scientist and head of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Any final thoughts, sweetie?
We have a right to know. I was just getting to a story here, which is quite interesting. One of the board members for SNIT was saying that the hotels were actually broke. And although he doesn't have the information, it's verifiable. So where are they? And why is SNIT quiet about it? And that's
what Afenyo Market is calling for. Plus, I remember, thanks to a few events I've had to attend, I know La Palm has had its own, but the Labadi Beach Hotel is doing well.
Yes.
I go there, like I said, there have been events that have taken me there, even from work, where we've had. And I am just wondering, I'm curious. If not for any of them, I want to know the salient details about the Labadi Beach Hotel. Because I've never been there and got the impression that they were, yes, the books of an entity could look a certain way. But when you go, you look at the food, you look at the people there, you look at the numbers of people, foreigners and others there. I have had some intel about the number of people lodging at any given time within a quarter. And I'm asking myself, I don't know. And the Labadi Beach Hotel is one of them. So I'm just wondering what is going on.
We can't judge, or we can only speculate, Ben. The number of people there, what they're doing there. They should just give us the details. I find it's very weird that they'll release a statement like that and then end by saying that they will not say anything anymore. And truly, they've stuck to their words. But this man is a board member, Mr. Champong, and whatever he's saying, we cannot take his word for it. He should just provide us the details. Paper, hard paper. Let us see that, yes, indeed. The hotels were broke. Otherwise, much ado about nothing.
Anyway, this segment is always brought to you courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They helped us bring you this segment today as well. They're offering you prostate screening for free if you're a man and fertility screening for free if you're a woman. Like Doc was saying, now thanks to certain heavy metals in our food, drink, and so many things, many people are coming up with fibroids. Women, don't wait. Don't get surprised. Just go get yourself checked and you're good to go. They have branches here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi, Chronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrade Anaji Estate, Tema Community 22, Tichiman Hanswa and Esiaman Zima. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Bringing us to the end of the news review. Our Black Starlets, yesterday I was rooting for them, so happy when they went 2-1 up. Unfortunately, the Nigerians dealt a blow to us. It ended 3-2, which also means that we are not going to qualify for that Mondial showpiece. But we'll bring you details of that and more in sports up next.
Good morning and welcome to the sports segment on the AM show. My name is Haruna Mubarak. Now, Ghana's Black Starlets were unsuccessful in their attempt to finish third at the ongoing Waffle Zone B Under-17 Cup of Nations. The team lost 2-1 to Nigeria after the Golden Eaglets scored in the dying minutes of the game, handing Ghana their second defeat of the championship and ultimately a fourth-place finish.
Not a good ball from Norte. Nigeria take possession. This can be a big chance for Nigeria. Adeleke with a cutback, and Nigeria nearly finding the opening goal, and they finally have it. Nigeria up by 1-0 against the Ghanaian defense, and once again they've just been caught. Again, Naped not being fully organized, but it does so well. Adeleke just played that one into a dangerous area. Have the equalizer. The Ghanaians are back in it. Well taken corner. Bafa. It's a deserved equalizer from Ghana. That was a great header from Bafa. Mensah kills one to the near post, and it's the second goal for the Ghanaians. Again, it's Bafa, the centre back, with another goal, and Ghana's second. Did almost 5 Nigerian players in the box, but then just look at that, very low on the turf, and he does well to apply the faintest of touch. And that was just great from the defender. Chika really steps up, and he does want to find his captain. Adeleke equalizes for Nigeria. Nigeria are back. You know, the competence of the Ghanaian defense. They're giving away some cheap goals, and that's just one of the goals they feel they just gave away cheaply. Chebanyo handled possession. The ball is cleared by Imrana Ochingbo. Adeleke for Nigeria. He scored the second goal and is racing deep into the Ghanaian territory. Good play from Adeleke. Adeleke drives one onto the crossbar. Ghana saved by the crossbar. It's Adeleke again, and he scores what could potentially be the winning goal for the Nigerians. Ghana 2, Nigeria 3. Abdul Muiz Adeleke, the scorer in stoppage time.
So 3-2 loss for Ghana, fourth place finish for Ghana, and that appears disappointing considering the impressive start of the Black Starlets in the tournament. They won their first 2 matches and scored 7 goals. Now, interim head coach Nana Kweku Ajiman admits the defense cost the team and the players will be kept for the future.
I
think that it's very, very difficult to accept. We played our hearts out. The boys actually gave a good performance and they brought everything in. But at the end of the day, I think that the preparatory mistakes really cost us. But it's very difficult to take. I think that primarily it's the defense. Throughout the tournament, we had weaknesses in centre backs. I think both centre backs we had some difficulties. If you take the second goal, for example, we've taught them to protect the middle of the penalty area, which includes the other fullback. So, for example, the ball is at the right side. The right back presses the ball. The closest midfielder fills in that space, and then the two centre backs and the other fullback will protect the centre. But in this case, you saw both centre backs moving out of those areas to go and try and protect the areas that the midfielders were supposed to. So preparatory mistakes cost us in terms of the way we defended. But I think that they did their best, and I'm sure that these are boys that have been put together for the future. So we'll continue training them, and hopefully in the future they'll come good.
Now, a few hours before the game, former Ghana international Lai Kingston apologized for the manner in which he announced his resignation as head coach of the Black Starlets. Kingston stepped down from his role following their defeat to Burkina Faso in the semi-final of the tournament. He issued an official statement apologizing for the way he handled the situation. And he says, "I apologize unreservedly for our failure to pay back the trust, love, and support we have graciously received from Ghanaians. We worked very hard for several weeks for the chance to reach the final of the Wafu tournament to compete for the ultimate prize, but it was not meant to be, or it was not to be." Now, Burkina Faso defeated Ivory Coast 3-1 to be crowned champions of the championship. Now, both teams have already secured qualification to the Under-17 Cup of Nations by virtue of reaching the final. But the bragging rights of being called zonal champions were at stake, and the Burkinabés have claimed them. Highlights for you.
Latif Diaby does well to regain possession. Good run from the Burkinabe. Chance for Burkina Faso. And that's the opening goal. Kesu Tapsoma opens the scoring for the Burkinabe side. 1-0 for Burkina Faso. Ashraf Tapsoma. He's gone all the way to where the Burkinabe fans are celebrating.
That's what they've been tasked to do. Once you don't have possession of the ball, then you have defending to do it. They work tirelessly, this Burkinabe side.
Le Petit Elephant down by 1 goal. They have a free kick now. Cedric Gobey to take for the boys in orange. Swings one in the box. Defended by Burkina. Drive takes the deflection. And Côte d'Ivoire have the equalizer. Mohamed Diarra. It was a try from the midfielder Adama Some, and it took a wicked deflection of Diarra and goalkeeper. Burkina Faso actually represented Africa at the last edition of the FIFA Under-17 World Cup, but they finished third in the group that had France, United States, and then South Korea. They only managed 3 points, and yet they are looking for the second goal, and Burkina Faso are back in the lead. A double for Tapsoma. Goalkeeper obviously could have done better. The ball bounced and the keeper completely beaten.
We made some right decisions down the line, down the stretch. And they still have some defending to do.
It's not over for Burkina yet. They still want to create chances. That's a lovely hit and an amazing goal from Sawadogo. That's a brilliant finish. He makes an instant impact, and Burkina Faso have doubled their lead.
And they are champions of the WAFU Zone B and the 17 AFCON qualifiers. And they are going to celebrate throughout the night. The party will continue. And there you have it, the champions of the WAFU Zone B and the 17 AFCON qualifiers, Burkina Faso. It seemed to be a challenging tournament for them when they drew against Nigeria in the opening game. But they went back to the drawing board. They corrected all the wrongs. And since then, they've never put a foot wrong. And the WAFU Zone B have got their champions now. Well-deserved champions, Burkina Faso.
Well-deserved champions, Josiah. They played very well.
Away from that, President of the Ghana Football Association, Nketiah, who has charged the football community to diligently follow the rules and regulations of the Club Licensing Board. According to him, such action is the best way to improve football in the country.
It is not Kurt that doesn't like somebody. It is not the licensing manager who doesn't like somebody. It is not the licensing committee or board that doesn't like somebody. Neither it is not the appeals committee that hates somebody. It is what all of us have signed up to, right from CAF level to our level, to ensure that we deliver football in the best possible manner. I say all the time that our friends, our classmates, are the officers responsible for delivering football or the footballing products that we see on TV. The La Ligas, the Bundesligas, the Serie A's, the Swiss leagues, the Belgium leagues, etc., etc. Our classmates. And they are able to do that only because they judiciously follow what we have been talking about. And when they deliver football, we enjoy watching what they deliver to us. So why can we not do it? We can. And when we deliver football the way it has to be delivered, other people will also switch on their TV screens and watch what we deliver. Your FA will continue to make the right investments, such as this gathering, for us to exchange continuously, for us to learn, and for us to impact on our football. It's imperative for all of us to work towards improving the standards in our Premier League, in our Division 1 League most importantly, and in our Women's Premier League. And I believe you can do it. And I believe we can do it. Together, let's work, let's deliver our football in its best possible manner so that the direct consumers of our game, our fans, our sponsors, our partners, prospective investors will be happy at what we offer. Prospective TV partners will be happy about what we offer. It should be our collective vision going into the immediate future.
Now, later today at 11 a.m., Black Stars head coach Otuado will be now announcing his squad for the upcoming 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers against Mali and Central African Republic. And that's how we end the sports on the AM show. My name is Haruna Mubarak, and thanks for watching.
You are not privy to this one, I'm telling you.
In my view, if we agree to this theory,
It's so simple. Let's tell the case.
Not agree to the way you want to go. The way you want to go about it.
So let's agree. Let's describe it that way. Let's describe it that way. The way I want to go about it.
Okay,
you agree to say it this way. For me, it makes it simple.
Yes, it will make it.
It doesn't also involve. It doesn't involve any difficulty for you.
Yes, I agree. I understand your point. That it doesn't.
When you say there's no advancement, yes. When you say there's no advancement, ordinarily meaning in Ghana that you don't pay until you get your goods. Now the contract here, even the clear terms, unless maybe you guys did not draft the contract, it says everything on site of goods shall be established upon the signing of the contract for every future.
No, the contract was drafted by government. It was done by government.
Oh, yes.
And it was an LG department perused the contract and approved the contract for government.
It is not a problem where they approve it. Every contract is actually approved before later when they are implementing it. Then problems.
You see, what the difficulty I have with your position is that, you see, frankly speaking, fine, as you are saying, if I agree to your position, how you want to go about it and how you want me to go about my answering questions and things. If I go by that way, frankly speaking, I'll be dishonest because I know that is not how it's supposed to be.
But you want me to go about it your way. And I feel that if I go about it your way, I'll be dishonest. Continue.
Questions and things. If I go by that way, frankly speaking, I'll be dishonest. Because I know that is not how it's supposed to be. And I'll be dishonest, in such a way that I'll be assisting for someone I know is completely innocent about this. For example, Atu Forsen, to be jailed because I knew something was wrong, was not the way, and I decided to keep quiet and to answer the question in a way that will make your case better for you to jail him. I'll be battling with my conscience. That is the problem I'm having. Anytime you bring up this issue with Yoni Kulendi, when I went to Yoni Kulendi's place, anytime you bring this issue, that is my problem I'm having. Because me, for example, I am in this case because I'm innocent and I'm going through ordeal. So I'm looking at another person also going to go through ordeal and through me because I know the truth and I decide not to say it because I want to help the AG make his case. And I ask myself, what is my interest in it?
I'm not asking you to really help me. I'm just going by the top. Anyway, so that's fine. So this one was even just by the way.
I hope you get my difficulty.
It's on the phone.
Oh no! No, don't worry about that one. My issue, I'm just. Oh no! You and I will be meeting.
Ladies and gentlemen, considering the scandalous nature of this recording and other forms of evidence we have shown you, we wish to make the following pressing demands as part of efforts to restore credibility to the Attorney General's office and Ghana's judicial system as a whole. 1. The immediate and unconditional resignation or dismissal of Godfrey Dame for bringing the high office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice into disrepute and public opprobrium. Clearly, Mr. Dame is not fit to hold himself out as Attorney General and Minister of Justice. He is unfit to be the leader of the Ghana Bar. 2, the immediate prosecution of Godfrey Dame for multiple violations of the laws of Ghana. We wish to make it clear that should President Akufo-Addo refuse or fail to prosecute him, a future NDC government will prosecute Godfrey Dame for this heinous crime of fabrication of evidence. 3, commencement of disciplinary proceedings by the General Legal Counsel against Godfrey Dame and his disbarment for conduct unbecoming of a lawyer, and more importantly, the leader of the Ghana Bar. 4, a publicly televised parliamentary inquiry into this and other reports of judicial manipulations by Godfrey Dame with a view to censor Godfrey Dame to prevent the recurrence of such judicial manipulations.
Lawyers and judges drink from the same bowl. The judges are lawyers before they became judges. So if a judge invites me to his house, what is offensive? And this is what the NDC wants to make capital out of. They have lawyers in their midst. Would they tell me that their lawyers never visit judges? Again, the Attorney General, at the time of the invitation, was unaware that the third accused person was going to be present, and therefore his subsequent appearance in the House of the Justice was surprising. It is pertinent to note that prior to this meeting, the Attorney General had closed his case, and the court had thrown out the application of Atuforsen for a submission of no case as being without merit. The third accused had also, by 4 different letters by his lawyers, requested and made proposals to the Attorney General for a plea bargain, which will see Big C, third accused principal, paid 2 million euros in exchange for the cessation of prosecution. This has been roundly rejected by the Attorney General. In fact, third accused, through his lawyers in the letter dated 16 May 2023, had indicated unequivocally that they were requesting a plea bargain, and following the rejection, I requested the AG for terms which the Attorney General will consider acceptable. The cause for the resignation of the Attorney General is misplaced, unwarranted, and this will not put any spokes in the prosecution of Kessel Atuforsen and his associates. Ladies and gentlemen, the call for the resignation of the Attorney General coming from the NDC is very, very rich. The NDC calling on the Attorney General to resign from office. That is rich Ghanaians. The AG will not resign. He will continue to remain witty, resolute, and focused in the delivery of his work, as he does always.
So, scenes from those two presses and what they had to say, we'll be dissecting them right here on the show. Joining me in the studio, of course, Sweetie Abochi, as we get into these all-important matters. But I don't know, right before we go on the phone lines, this issue is going to be topical for a long while, and we all know the relevance of it, not just politically, but legally, and what it means for the ordinary man, if you are in the picture, versus maybe someone with clout in the system. But let's bring into the conversation Abraham Amaliba. He is Director of Conflict Resolution with the NDC. Mr. Amaliba, good morning.
Good morning to you and good morning to your viewers.
Okay. And let me also state this, make this disclaimer. I don't want to mention his name, but we had a lawyer, a prominent one from the MPP end, meant to join the conversation this morning. And at the last minute, the person gave some reasons not to join the conversation for charitable reasons. I don't want to mention the person's name, but that is the situation. So if we speak to a certain group of people and you don't hear representation from the MPP, that person confirmed to speak to us and a few minutes ago did an about turn, a pirouette. That one, it's beyond our powers. Mr. Amaliba, so far, so many issues to unpack. But let's start with the stance of the NDC that the AG must resign or be dismissed, and that barring that, should there be a future NDC government, you will delve into the matter and prosecute him. I'm just curious, though. You make it sound like Atuforsen's case is political, but if you went down this road, if your party came to power and you went down that road, would it not be political? Would it be justice? Quick thoughts on that.
Yesterday was a Black Tuesday for our justice delivery system. Black Tuesday because the audio, the conversation contained therein were damning and explosive. You find the Attorney General in his own voice trying to tamper with a witness. Now, if you have an Attorney General conducting himself in this way, how else would you want a responsible opposition to deal with the matter? Not to ask the Attorney General to resign, to ask the Attorney General to continue bringing the image of the justice delivery system into disrepute? Is that what you want?
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that if it's a political witch hunt against Atuforsen, as your party claims, would it not be an equally charged witch hunt against the current Attorney General should your party win? I'm just saying, do we need this political tit for tat, quid pro quo?
There's no tit for tat here. Somebody has been asked to discharge his duties as a public officer. It's not discharging his duties well. It's just like asking the information minister or the finance minister to resign because the country is in dire straits. How is that political witch hunt?
Let me interject here. If it's not a political witch hunt, Mr. Jakpa revealed in court that he had such evidence. Why was this evidence not presented to the court? Rather, you held a press conference to announce to the whole world that this is what you have. And you say
the
it's one of
NDC
many.
was not in court. The NDC is not a party in court. The NDC is interested in the good governance of this country. The NDC is a major stakeholder. The NDC thinks that this country must not be managed the way it is. And the NDC will go to the people with the facts of the case.
Are you saying that you don't have faith in a justice system that if this particular evidence that you have was presented to the courts, the country would not see justice delivered?
I'm saying that the NDC couldn't have presented those matters in court because the NDC is not a party to the suit. The one who is a party to the suit has intimated to the court that this did happen and he will provide evidence. So these are two different things. Don't merge them. The political party, which is desirous to have good governance in this country, is right to go to the people with the wrongdoings of this administration, and for that matter, the Attorney General. The political witch hunt can be seen in the Attorney General trying to convince a witness to bear false testimony against Atuforsen. That's where the witch hunt is coming from.
Mr. Amaliba, please hold for us. Let's also bring in lawyer Bobby Banson. Good morning, Mr. Banson.
Good morning. Good morning to your listeners and viewers.
All right. I'm sure you followed proceedings from yesterday, the presses, then the tapes, and Frank Davies of the MPP end says the NDC distorted the tape. I'm sure you must have heard that tape as well, that interaction between Richard Jakpa and the Attorney General. And even at a point, if you pay attention, you would hear the Attorney General saying, and I'm not going to make certain statements. You are leading me to make certain statements. You are recording me likely. You know, it gets to that point and but already things have been said. And Richard Jakpa is defending that I can't do that in good conscience to an innocent person because me, myself, I'm innocent and I've been roped into this. What do you make? So far, at least, I've been avoiding mentioning the Supreme Court Justice's name, but it's been mentioned in that tape. I'm still going to personally refrain on principle from mentioning it. But that has been mentioned, then the interactions and what you've heard. What is your position so far on how far we've come? What does this mean for you in terms of the accusations against the AG?
Well, I would want to put the discussion into the context of the criminal prosecution, which I believe is the genesis of all this brouhaha, for lack of a better word.
Hello, Bobby. Bobby Banson, are you still with us? Hello, Mr. Banson. It appears we may not have Bobby Banson on the line. We'll try to. He was trying to situate the conversation in context, and all of a sudden, we sort of lost him. But let me quickly go back to Abraham Amaliba, Sweetie, before I come back into the studio. So the NPP has leveled an accusation that the tape was tampered with. It was doctored. If you listen to the tape, I am no expert, though I have some learnings in these. You hear, of course, it depends on where it was being recorded from, but the voice texture of Richard Jakpa compared to that of the Attorney General shows you that obviously there's a linear conversation going on. As to whether it was doctored or not, that I cannot say. But what is your reaction? The MPP alleges this tape was doctored. Your take?
This is an afterthought. It's just to try to obfuscate the issues. But if you say a tape is doctored, it doesn't mean that the contents are not true. You know that?
Yes, but they are saying basically that you've manipulated the content to sound a certain way.
Yes.
You've taken out bits and pieces.
It doesn't mean that the contents are not entirely true. It is different when you say the tape is a false tape. Then you want to say that the entire contents are wrong. But in any case...
But are you by saying this admitting that the tape was doctored?
No, I'm just saying that in any case, this is a tape that we all can hear the Attorney General clearly, and we know his voice clearly on that tape. And so to say that this tape is doctored is an afterthought, trying to obfuscate the issues and then divert attention from the issues therein. Now, there are three things that I think that the Attorney General misconducted himself in. One, to speak to the witness who was in the witness box or who was taking his turn in the witness box without his lawyer. It goes against the tenets of the legal profession. Two, to ask a witness to lie to the court that he is sick and go for a doctor's excuse is not done. And three, to ask the witness to proffer false testimony or evidence against the first accused person. In some jurisdictions, this Attorney General would have been a goner.
Okay.
You know, in the U.S., currently, the Trump's lawyer has been disbarred because he inadvertently said something that wasn't true. But you can't have fame in Akufo-Addo's land.
Right.
So I'm not surprised.
Yes, so just quickly, I need to bring in Bobby Banson, but just to clarify something. We've seen some of those WhatsApp messages and everything in between. I want you to clarify. The claim has been made that at the time he may have had this interaction with the AG in a certain Supreme Court Justice's office, contrary to what the AG's office, Isaac Wilberforce-Mensah, what he's been saying that Richard Jakpa did not have a lawyer. Thaddeus Sori was representing him at the time. Can you confirm that for us, or no?
That is so, because if you even look at one of the text messages, you look at the date. It was a day before they appeared in court, and by then, Jakpa was represented by Thaddeus Sori. So it can be true.
All right, please hold for us. Let's bring back Mr. Bobby Banson. You were trying to put the situation in context and then make some assertions. Please go ahead.
Yes, I have heard parts of the tape. The allegation that is being doctored, I have not heard the otherwise full tape or what is supposed to be the original tape. So I cannot speak to what is original and what has been doctored. Those who claim that it's been doctored would have the burden to prove the original tape. I have not heard it.
Quick intervention. Yes. When you hear the voice of the other person on the tape, does it sound to you like Godfrey Eboadame?
Oh yes, of course. There's no doubt that is his voice.
Okay.
I don't doubt that is his voice. But my point is that what the effect of this would have on the trial that is ongoing. There are two ways of looking at it. Mr. Jakpa, from his own voice, refused to do the bidding that he is alleging the Attorney General was urging on him. And so we can take it for granted that what he has said in court or the evidence he has proffered is actually was without influence or undue influence. Let me put it that way. And so whatever the Attorney General was trying to achieve, as it has been alleged, was not successful. And so if we would go through the trial with that, it means that as it stands now, there may have been allegedly an attempt by the Attorney General, but which attempt was not successful. And so this recording, these discussions, in my opinion, should not have an effect on the outcome of the trial.
Which is what the judge has said.
The man is saying that you wanted me to do A, B, C, D, but I won't do it. Then it means what I have done is actually what I wanted to do in terms of the evidence I have given. And so I think that the judges or the judge hearing the matter for me would be clear in their mind that there is nothing like undue influence in respect of the evidence that has been given.
Bobby, a quick point. So I don't think that is in question because the judge herself has stated that, and that's why she said the two parties, NDC and MPP, should stop scandalizing the court because she's not going to be swayed by the court of public opinion, right? So that is clear. But in terms of the practice of the law, Abraham Abaliba was just suggesting or referencing the fact that Trump's lawyer, his name just escapes me, the one who was with him during his
That was
term.
the second point I was actually going to make.
That now he's been disbarred, debarred, prevented from. In terms of the practice of the law and what has been done, what then does it do to the Attorney General as not just a lawyer, but as Attorney General, Minister of Justice, and head of the bar?
That was the point, the second point I was going to make. The effect of the alleged conduct on the professional integrity or ethics of the Attorney General. I believe that the Legal Professions Act provides for consequences of such action. As a lawyer, the NDC may file, or even the current lawyers for Mr. Jatta, or Mr. Jatta himself, may file a petition to the General Legal Counsel, which will investigate the matter thoroughly and then come up with a decision. If they find that the allegations are true, there are various options available to them. Disbarring the lawyer is one of them. Suspending the lawyer is one of them. And then perhaps issuing a warning to that lawyer to desist from such actions is another. Now, taking his position not as a mere lawyer, but as the Attorney General, and the effect on that office is something that is a political decision. Whether or not the current government thinks that it is fit to allow him to remain in office, despite the allegations hanging on his head, not only remain in office, to continue to champion the institution of this. I think that the optics are not for the current government. Because in this
what did you just say? You think the optics are not what?
Are not good. Are not good.
For
the current government.
You mean for the AG and the government?
Sorry?
I'm not getting, the optics are not good for the AG or the government. How do you mean?
No, actually, it is the government that appointed the AG. So what I mean is that the presidency. And so if the presidency, in the light of all these allegations, would allow the AG to remain in office and to champion the prosecution of these matters, then the optics are not good. Because we've had instances in recent times when somebody like Sisi Adapa was asked to step aside on allegations of corruption, as it were, until investigations were completed. So if we go by that standard, then you expect the presidency or to take a similar step in this regard. If investigations are completed and the Attorney General is cleared, I believe that it will be available for everybody to make that judgment call.
Mr. Manson, I want to follow in that trail of thoughts, but I want to get a quick reaction first from Mr. Maleba before I come to you on that note of the resignation. Mr. Maleba, the NDC is saying that you want the AG to resign. Now, you also just said that you are doing all this in the interest of the country. would you rather be inclined to the school of thought that an independent commission of inquiry of sorts should be set up? And if he's found culpable, because your tape can be challenged, as they're doing right now, they're calling it doctored, malicious. Would you rather an inquiry be made into the case? And if he's found culpable, then he resigns? Because asking him to resign directly would not be a practice of the rule of law. How does that sit with you?
In fact, it's rule of law when officers of the state decide that I have brought this office into disrepute, and so I'm resigning. You know that. I'm resigning honorably, so you know that. So our call is to the Attorney General to do the needful. But that does not mean that if he thinks that he wants to stay, a committee of inquiry shouldn't be set up. There are two different things. We are asking him to resign because we know that he has conducted himself in a way that does not befit the office that he holds. And so, but those who are also calling for a commission of inquiry or whatever inquiry are also right. So the two can go hand in hand.
All right.
Either he resigns or a commission of inquiry is put in place.
Okay. Mr. Benson, should the Attorney General resign?
Hello, Bobby Banton.
I'm here. I mean, if I were him, I would step aside.
Why though? Why though?
You know, you are dealing with a situation where somebody you are cross-examining in a very highly sensitive case involving politically exposed persons says that you have attempted to influence the nature of my evidence. That is some wild allegation. And so if it is made and it is backed by a prima facie evidence of a recording, you would want to play your. Now, we want to change that up because the Office of Attorney General has a lot of administrative roles that may be conflicting.
Bobby, please pivot a bit. Please reposition slightly. The train of thought. Please reposition slightly on the phone because we're struggling to hear you. Just go back some 30 seconds, reposition, and let's try again.
Okay, Ben, is it better?
Better.
Okay, so I'm saying that I would have stepped aside and then pursued an investigations or whatever it is, subject myself to whatever investigative mechanism, whether the General Legal Counsel, whether a commission of inquiry. The reason being that if I remain in office, what it will mean is that the administrative functions of the Attorney General may interfere with some of these investigative mechanisms, either with the GLC, whether with because the Attorney General remains the advisor to government in all legal matters. So if you are setting up a commission of inquiry, would the President require an opinion from the Attorney General's office? What will I do in that capacity? If it's the General Legal Counsel, is the Attorney General represented on the General Legal Counsel? Would there be conflict? So I would step aside and then allow this investigative mechanism to go through. At the end of the day, his career was there before this office. So if there is anything that would threaten his career, which the NDC and other members are making calls for, I think that is a very serious allegation that he would need his name cleared. More importantly, and that's what I've been saying, this situation further be for us as a country to take a serious look at decoupling the office of the Attorney General from the Minister of Defense.
Right. And it's a conversation we've had time without number. I'm just curious about something. Just a quick point. Would it not be possible, and I just want to look at all sides, for the Attorney General to step aside in terms of handling the case without necessarily resigning? Would that not suffice?
But
I just want to look at all angles.
He's the head of that office. Every single step that is taken in any case that the government of Ghana is pursuing or defending is done in the name of the Attorney General. And so conflict of interest, it need not be real. Perception counts a lot.
So even if Alfred Tuah stepped in and all of that, it would still be that, nah, I mean...
The Constitution does not mention the Deputy Attorney General.
Right. Right. Bobby Banson, we're grateful for your time. So you're also of the school of thought that he should resign?
I think so.
Do you see that happening, though, before you go? Do you see that happening? Based on the experiences we've had in this country, the cases that have come up, and, do you see the Attorney General stepping aside?
I would be surprised if he resigned.
Okay.
All right. Shall we give the final word to Abraham Amaliba?
Yeah.
Quick thoughts in 30 seconds and we're gone. Mr. Amaliba.
You see, a convicted person must trust the justice system enough to accept the verdict of the court. So if you have an attorney general whose hands have been tainted by these conduct, even if you end up convicting the person will have doubts and say that I wasn't treated well and this was malicious prosecution. It's the reason why the attorney general must leave the office, so that the convicted person, whoever is going to be convicted in this case, would have enough basis to accept the verdict.
All right, so just to clarify that's my final bit to you. You are by this saying, and I was going to bring it your way anyway, that it could that maybe the Attorney General in some ways did not follow established practice, that some of what he did may not have been 100% right. But you are also admitting that barring that, it is still possible that those who are in court may not have done the right thing and that the law could deal with them accordingly. They could be found culpable. You are admitting that, right?
I'm saying that in the worst case scenario, where the accused persons end up being convicted, would they have trust in the conviction? Would they accept that
the judge is insisting she's not paying attention to any of this?
So that is where I'm coming from. The Attorney General's conduct has brought doubts into the minds of many people.
All right.
And would the accused persons, if they are convicted, accept the verdict as being a trustworthy conviction? That's the question I'm asking.
All right.
And that's why he should resign.
Okay. Abraham Amaliba, we're grateful for your time. He is Director of Conflict Resolution with the NDC. We also had Bobby Banson, a lawyer, joining the conversation. So, sweetie, now, from yesterday to today, we have Professor Asiedu saying he should resign, Martin Pebu saying he should resign. Now, as for the NDC, I don't want to because it's clear. Now you have Bobby Banson also saying that if for nothing, on the back of what we've seen, he should resign and then pursue the matter in
But he will be surprised if he actually does. That's the interesting bit.
Anyway, we'll be back with more. We're bringing you an exclusive interview with a political stalwart and a former presidential aspirant of the MPP, a man of many parts, and he dons many hats. Dr. Kobina Arthur Kennedy is right here in the studio, and you don't want to miss that interaction shortly, right here on the AM Show. We'll be right back. Thank you very much for staying with us right here on the AM Show. As advertised, we have joining us in the studio Dr. Kobina Arthur Kennedy. Well, he's a political activist. He's a man of medicine, a medical doctor, and he's also a stalwart of the MPP. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me.
It's really good having you, and it's been, I think every other interaction we've had has been virtual. Today you are in the studio with us.
That is true. That is true. It's good to see the faces we see virtually for real.
Right. Let me just start from here. I will go straight to the bit about the tussle between the AG and all of that. But I just wanted to find out, you have lived what we are living vicariously in another part of the world. I don't know how long you have been in Ghana for the past few days, but what is your take now that you are in town? What do you see?
Well, I have a feeling of sadness because what is happening is not good for any of the players, and it's not good for the country. And I am saddened that the reaction of both sides is to go to party first rather than the country. I kind of miss a situation, or maybe more appropriately, yearn for a situation where we have principled nationalists on both sides who will look at this as how would this affect my country, not how would this affect my party. I mean, talking about living elsewhere. The reason why Richard Nixon resigned as president was because Republicans went to him and said, Mr. President, what you have done, we can't support it. Because we are Americans. So when these things happen, I think we need to look at it as Ghanaians.
Was he the one who experienced, was it the Watergate scandal or something?
Yes, the Watergate scandal, and he was the only president in American history to resign the presidency.
Yeah.
You know, so of course there have been other instances, but the key point in that, both from the judicial point of view and from political point of view, is that the Republicans said, no, we can't support this. And to the point, a Supreme Court, including some of his appointees, ruled 9-0 that he should surrender the Watergate tapes. You know, they were behaving as patriots. When I look at what we are confronting here, I feel an overwhelming absence of that kind of spirit. I have followed all the press conferences yesterday and all that, and it seems to me, if you sum it up, that the Attorney General met with an accused person in circumstances that were, to put it mildly, inappropriate. I am prepared to believe that it is possible that the first meeting, he might have been ambushed. You know, you go to a place looking to see Benjamin and somebody else shows up there. It is unfair to say you ought to have known that the other person will show up there. Having said that, once the other person showed up there and you recognize him as Attorney General, maybe some things ought to kick in, you know, about appropriateness, the law, Rule 54, all these kinds of things. And it would appear that maybe those things did not come to the fore as far as the Attorney General was concerned. There are allegations that he also had telephone conversations with this accused person.
We've seen WhatsApp messages.
Yes.
But
if all these things are true, it will be difficult to see how the Attorney General maintaining his position will be good for the administration of justice. But having said that, I think we owe him due process.
True.
Which means there ought to be an investigation. And that investigation should establish facts. Having said that, whenever I see these situations, apart from even the immediate situation, I look for lessons that we can all learn. Is it that maybe the ethical rules are not clear enough? How, for example, does the Supreme Court justice in whose home this meeting took place come in? Did he know of the fact that this relative was going to come in? Are there sanctions? All those are issues that we must deal with. And it also, of course, goes to the reputation of this presidency. This is a man who had done significant work to advance our legal world. And he deserves credit for that. So it is ironic that under his government, we would see all the things that we are seeing. And honestly, whenever I see and think of the president, I feel sad. The reason I feel sad is that he seemed to me to be a person who meant very well. You know, I tell people and they are stunned. The president once told me, he says, I don't like the presidential system. And I said, why? He says, because it gives power, too much power to one person. He says in the prime ministerial system, you are only a first among equals. So your colleagues can rein you in when you get too dictatorial. That was very admirable, hearing that from him. And when you put that beside the person we are seeing as president now, it is very difficult for me to reconcile the two.
So you're saying that some time gone by, was it while he was president or before he became
president? Before he became president.
He told you that he didn't like the presidential system, the executive system, because it gave too much power to one person.
To one person.
And now are you surprised when he got that power, how he's used it?
I am. I am stunned. You know, you would have expected that apart from everything else, you could rely on him to be a guardian of our constitutional principles. You know, respect for boundaries, you know, a sense of propriety, making sure that the nation doesn't get harmed, you know. And opportunity after opportunity, you get the impression that he just quite hasn't found it in him to do that. And it's sad watching that.
You said that we needed principled nationalists.
Yes.
And that this entire NDC MPP thing. But in that context, let me just sneak in this. Principled nationalists, then, I mean, I am stunned by some of the developments because then you have a former director of the Ghana School of Law. You usually don't hear these people commenting on. Now coming to talk about the fact that the AG should resign. But even that's not what I want to look at. That this administration under Akufo-Addo, a lawyer, is the most corrupt ever. How do you reconcile that with the principled nationalist stance before we go back to the AG bit?
Well, it is good for him to say that. And to be honest, I have had the same feeling sometimes, but it will seem that people who generally would have felt reluctant to comment on such things are coming out to comment on them. The unfortunate thing is that all this is happening in the context of an election year, you know, so it makes it hyper-polarized, and whenever you say X or Y, people are talking about how you don't support your side and you don't do this. But I think that people like him ought to keep speaking on, because this is the only country we've got. And I just want to see people, regardless of party, step forward and say, you know, this or that is wrong, you know, which is why I feel that in the interests of the nation, if the the NDC has tips, it should be released so that independent people can verify that, yes, this is all the tip, this is what it contained, and these are the facts. Because this is not about an NDC position or an MPP position, it's about what is best for our country.
Have you heard, though, what has been released, that conversation, purported conversation between Richard Dakwa and the AG? Have you heard it?
I did. I listened.
What did you make of it?
Looked at the transcripts. It just doesn't seem good, you know. But having said that, which is why you want to hear the whole tip, is that sometimes there might be other parts of the tip that were not played that may be exculpatory. Right. You know, sometimes in the same tip we get contradictory things said, and that one side might exonerate the other side. So I want to see that, because I want to be sure that when we say the Attorney General should resign or the President has sacked him, then we are sure of the facts. Having said that, of course, there are situations where out of honor, somebody might say, I have become an issue or the issue, and that it is not good for the work we are all doing. So I don't want
it's taking away from the core issue.
Precisely. And of course, you notice that we haven't even talked about the issue, this importation of ambulances and all that. Yeah. So all this bears on whether after this the case can go on and the results can have credibility. And I heard your guest before
Abraham
I came
on,
yes, right, about how whether this is good for the attorney. No. I am not interested in whether the accused people would think the judgment is fair. I am interested in whether ordinary Ghanaians walking in the streets can look at the judgment and say, yeah, he got a fair trial. That's what I'm looking for.
Mm. A few follow-up issues. There's also this, as you spoke about that, there's also this bit about an attempt being made by one of the parties to pay back 2 million euros. You know, it was a little over 2 million euros involved in this. Yes. And the person said, okay, let's... what the issue is in there is that the state would try to recover funds in the interest of the state because you have supposedly caused financial loss to the state. Yeah. In this instance, there was a refusal to take that sum of money. And some legal brains have found that curious. That is why some are pointing to the fact that maybe there was intent to see people behind bars rather than even serve the purposes of the state, just because of what you said. What do you make of that?
It is a reasonable argument, but you can, of course, look at it two ways. Of course, one very valid thing is to say, okay, bring us the money and the financial loss has been recovered. But you know that...
Because, in fact, you could actually take the money and still apply punitive
that's
measures.
my point.
So why not take the money?
Yeah, so I think that they should have taken the money and said, yeah, still in the interest of justice, because you don't want a two-tier justice system in which some people can say, okay, I've paid the money, leave me alone, and other people will be prosecuted. So from that point of view, yes, you can say it is important for the reputation of our legal system to punish people if we think they've done something wrong, in addition to recovering the money.
All right. My final point on this bit, and then we'll move away to other matters. Some have called on the AG to resign. Some pretty prominent people have called on him to resign. When we just interacted with Bobby Banson, a lawyer, he said, yes, he should resign, but he doesn't expect him to do so. He also said, I mean, we've also come to the thought about setting up some group to investigate, whether commission or whatever it is, to investigate the matter. Do you expect the AG to resign? If not, do you think the president will bring to bear any such commission? And so far, with the president not having made any statement on this, are you disappointed? Those final bits and we move.
Yes, I'm disappointed. I wish the president has said something about this by now, but you know, though, that the president has a long-standing relation with the Attorney General. This is somebody he trained in his chamber, so I can understand that there is a lot of agonizing in
There's
the
a lot
presidency, at stake in the presidency about this. But having said that, if I was advising the Attorney General, I would advise him to resign. Having said that, if he doesn't do that and I was advising the president, I will advise the president to relieve him of his responsibilities in the interest of our justice system. Barring all those things, we need to establish facts. But in addition to establishing facts, we need to lay out guidelines for future conduct of people in high places, like the Attorney General. I heard people talk about separating the Attorney General from the Minister of Justice, maybe conduct of Supreme Court judges, justices. All those are things that maybe we should look at in the end as benefits or lessons to be harvested from this.
And that's the thing. Oftentimes people will say that these things happen, but it's not the bad thing happening that is the issue. It's about what you learn.
Absolutely.
And sometimes, a lot of the time, we don't learn. It's like, we're having a conversation this morning. Let me just digress briefly. There's another development plan within a period of what? How many years? We've had so many development plans. You've not effected the last two.
Yeah.
We are coming out with another plan. And people will ask you, Charlie, where are we going? We keep drawing up plans without implementing. It sounds kind of like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, one of the worst examples of that is how when every government comes, since Rawlings, will go and borrow money for public housing. Then they will build up to 80%.
Yeah.
Then the new government will come and somehow, when they come, they will decide that they want to do new public housing. Ignore the 80% complete and go get money to start their own. And you look at it and you go, how can we keep doing this to ourselves? And then we keep doing it.
Let's get into the Strategic Mobilization Limited saga, SML. And I mean, there are so many issues to unpack, I don't even know where to start. SMEL being subsumed under West Blue. There had been proposals to the Public Procurement Authority 3 times rejected. Somehow then they were subsumed under West Blue. Then later West Blue was set aside and they became SML and took over. There have been questions about what exactly has been their work and whether they deserve the over 1 billion that has been paid to them. There's also the question about the NPA, the GRA, and what role they played in this, whether indeed SML was filling any gaps or putting any stops in there. Then there is the interesting bit, a period, and I can just get the slide, where no taxes were paid by SML and the GRA was in the know. And these are all questions that have been raised. Recently, the KPMG report was released. The NDC claims it was on the back of some insistence impressing upon the president to release it, else they will not cooperate in Parliament. But what do you make of the SML situation?
Terrible. First, a lot of laws were breached in no sole sourcing without approval from the Public Procurement Authority. Parliament didn't play the role it was supposed to play. So first, I want to commend Manasseh Azuri-Awuni for the work he did. It sounds like he does more anti-corruption work than a lot of our anti-corruption agencies combined, which is interesting. So I think that all those contracts that were awarded contrary to our laws, people cannot benefit from breaking the law. So we need to pull those things back. We need to go back and collect their taxes. And we need to find out those who were asleep at the wheel or those who looked the other way while all these things happened when they should have been doing their job, which should have prevented this from happening. I think basically it lays bare the fact that we honor a lot of our constitutional strictures in the breach. That even though these things are there on paper, when powerful people decide that they want to do something, they ignore them and blow past them. And that is a classic example of what we are witnessing.
Per what some have read, they feel this deal should have been shelved, that it should have been truncated. Are you of the same opinion?
Yes.
Because on the other hand, there's also the bit about local content. You've already said yes, but there's also the bit about local content, local entities doing something for the country, local businesses, so to speak. What do you make of it?
They should do it legally. You know, I am for local entities doing things for the government and Ghana and all that kind of, but they should do it legally. You know, we should be careful about certain bad precedents. You know, I always tell people, people in government doing bad things with good motives, you know, that Fiorella LaGuardia, considered the greatest mayor in New York history, wanted to do something, and he was cutting corners to help the poor. And one of his friends said, Mr. Mayor, good people in good times must not set bad examples for bad people, because your intentions may be honorable in doing what you're doing, but once you set the precedent, less honorable people will cite your example later and use it. You know, so I am always for let's do it the proper way. Yes, let's promote local people, let's encourage them, let's give them breaks. When they do it, let's commend them, but let's do it legally. That's why we have rules in our society.
So the deal should be annulled?
Yes, it should be.
All right. Speaking of the same point, local content and doing things legally, that takes me, you know where I'm going, the SNIT issue. Dr. Brian Champong, Agric Minister, and all of that. Recently interacting with the majority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, he said that, look, let's decouple the situation. Let's take Brian Champong out of it. He's a local businessman. He's established himself in the hotels industry. He's a hotelier and all of that. And address SNIT and the core issues at hand. He has charged SNIT, we've not seen any reaction yet, to come clean, review everything there is. What is the state of these hotels? How much were they making? What went into awarding the contract to Brian Champong for a stake, 60% and all of that? But in that instance as well, what do you make of this bit? Because some are saying it is state capture.
I'm ambivalent about that because both sides on the surface have valid points. If indeed the state-owned hotels or the SNIT-owned hotels are not doing well, and they want to bring in private investors to shore them up, then whoever private investor is qualified and has a valid bid should be considered. Having said that, though, this brings back echoes of the Donkome privatization of the PNDC NDC era, in which state enterprises were sold at Donkome prices to the cronies of people in government. So whenever we see these things, obviously, it should make us sit up and wonder whether indeed these things are being done consistent with fairness and openness and transparency.
This also brings me to the point, some have said that on the back of these developments, we should put an end, legally, policy, to politically exposed people owning or having a stake in state properties, or having that ability while they are in government to own, buy state property. I've been told of an infamous case of someone who was in government, or I don't want to, I'm being careful, and this person, the residence where this person was, the person purchased the residence. So when there was a new party coming into that office, it was a bit of a tussle because the new person was saying, but this is the residence of this person occupying this office. But the other person said, no, I have legally bought this. You know, those tussles.
Mm-hmm. I actually agree that people in government should not be purchasing state assets. You know, obviously for exactly the reasons that you cite, because even when it doesn't appear obvious, sometimes there is, or a lot of time, there is undue influence being exercised. You know, for example, people hearing of assets being sold because they have connections to government. You know, that in the US is what sometimes we call insider trading. You know, that you have information that the rest of the public doesn't have. And the more important reason is that it undermines public confidence in government. You know, it kind of fuels the perception of crony government. You know, that people are giving things to their cronies, people are using their position. So I think it will be good in the interest of public policy and public purposes for people in government not to be able to get these things. And actually, you know, though, that in US, for example, when you leave government, you have to stay for some years before you can even become a lobbyist, you know, because they think if you're going right from government to some of those positions, it means you're trading on the influence that you had in government. And they do that for basically the reasons we are discussing.
You know what else is interesting, especially because of where you're coming to us from? In other jurisdictions, the Japans, the US's, and others, politicians may come into politics with money. Their money is heavily scrutinized, part of which accounts for why Donald Trump is now facing some of the issues he's facing. But most of them may not necessarily be wealthy. If they get any wealth, it is post-serving. For example, American presidents usually, they would be more or less around the same benchmarks they had. But afterwards, speeches delivered here and all of that, 100,000 here. That is how they end up making some. Here, people make the money while in office, and that is the difference.
It's actually an interesting point you bring up, because that situation has evolved quite a bit in the US. It used to be actually that presidents left office and they were not even paid after they left office. And apparently people found out that Harry Truman, who was president, was broke. You know, so they changed the law to say that people should have their salaries for the rest of their lives. And like you're saying, a lot of people come into office as presidents not rich, even though senators and others these days are more likely to be millionaires than otherwise, because to self-financing their campaign and all. But then once you leave office, it's not the secret connection, but it's the idea that, you know, they put you on boards, you make speeches and people like to hear from you, so you make money from it and you write books, you know. So that's how they do it.
Well, as far as the SNIT issue is concerned, how did SNIT explain itself? It's not giving us the bare bones of the facts we want, but It says this move was meant to develop the hotels into world-class institutions to meet world-class standards, that it was also meant for capital injection and also to assist in hotel management. Those were the reasons given. But like I said, the majority leader says SNIT. In fact, if I may quote part of what he says, because I had that interaction with him, which was taken up by this paper. He says, SNIT must come out, and even not only this decision, it must look at all their investments that are failing and explain them to the public. I am sure that the TUC and other labor unions will understand if these things are explained and will take away Brian Champong as a person and understand that let's not look at the form, but at the substance. That's what he's been saying. But let's come back to your party, the MPP. Are you still a member of the MPP?
Yes.
You still are?
Yes.
Card-bearing member?
Yes.
Some people say, I mean, I know that when I mentioned the likes of Dr. Nyahonya Hutamaklo and you, people say, oh, they are not members of the party. So that is erroneous.
Well, you know, though, when people say that, you know, I always find it interesting that whenever you say things supportive of the party, remember once you asked me, they say, oh, it's personal, so what have you praised about? And I gave you a laundry list of them. The problem is that there are people who think our party should be a theocracy, not a democracy. So in a theocracy, when the Ayatollah says right, everybody says right. When they say left, so people like, you know, Captain Nyahonya Hutamaklo, myself, and from Boateng, by the nature of our training, we call things as we see them, you know. And actually, I think that every party should have people like me and from Boateng and others, because we need consciences. Good parties need consciences, people who will tell the party when it is going off the rails, because maybe if they had listened more to people like us, this election year will not be as challenging as it is.
What I just find interesting when I looked at the three of you, all of you have had some medical training.
That's correct.
That's the interesting.
They teach us something in med school about objectivity and standing your ground, you know.
I see. So coming to your party, election 2024 is about 7 months away. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and the MPP have not been able to get a running mate, or at least they've not announced a running mate. Some have said it's a tricky situation because of the context, the issues being discussed, and whom to choose. Many male names have been bandied about. The Education Minister, Dr. Educhu, the Energy Minister, Dr. Opoku Prempeh, and so many others. Then there's Natoshi, whose name has also come up. But what do you make of the fact that 7 months to an election, I mean, usually by this time, the MPP would have a candidate and a running mate. Your party doesn't have that. What do you see from where you sit?
In fairness, though, that is not unusual. I think Dr. Bawumia himself was chosen quite late, you know. And generally...
You mean for the first
for the first time, you know. So it is not unusual for this to go on for some time. But looking at the arguments, it is strange that the same people who thought that Alan, for example, from Ashanti, shouldn't be given any preference as the presidential candidate, now think an Ashanti should be given preference as a running mate, you know. I mean, if Ashanti didn't deserve the presidency or somebody didn't deserve it because he was Ashanti, why would he deserve the running mate position based on the same principles? So having said that, you know, all those who are being mentioned, which is why sometimes the choices are difficult, have pluses and minuses, you know. There are people who like them, people who don't. And actually, interesting, when Nanado first chose Dr. Bawumia, he told some of us that I don't want to determine succession. In other words, he said, when I'm going, I'll go with my running mate. If I pick any of those who were aspirants, I will be putting them in position as quote unquote my successor. You know, but look where we are. So a lot of factors go.
Wait. So just to stay on that, you said two major things today. That did Nanado tell you this? The president, did he tell you this in confidence? Privately, in public?
The first one, he said it to me privately in a conversation. But
The first one where he said he doesn't like the executive system. He gives too much power
precisely.
to one
That was a private committee. But this one, he told the aspirants, the first time we met,
that,
he said
that he would not.
He does not want to determine succession, So that was the reason why he wasn't keen on picking one of the fellow aspirants. The idea being that if you pick somebody who didn't have any grounding in the party or otherwise, then it means that you just going to go on with your running mate and leave the scene. So having said that, so things change.
So it means on these 2 points, the president, has he lived up to what he said?
Well, he hasn't lived up to what he said, but to be fair, I am very reluctant to say he was lying when he said that, because circumstances change. You might believe something today, and in 3 months' time, based on new information or circumstances, you might change your mind. It doesn't necessarily mean that you were being dishonest when you believed whatever you believed 3 months ago.
I see.
In the
coming back to
choice of the running mate, so all those people have their pluses and minuses. I think that you can make a case for a woman, but I have never liked tokenism. You don't put a woman on your ticket because she's a woman. You put her on, as Margaret Thatcher would say, for substance, that he is there because if the gender were different and the name was a male name, you could look at the same person and say they are good enough to do whatever it is.
Competence is competence.
Competence is competence.
From where you sit, though, do you have any person in mind that you think would make a fine choice?
All those people are fine people. But actually, if I was Dr. Bawumia, I wouldn't pick somebody associated with this government.
You wouldn't pick someone associated? In other words, someone in government?
Yes.
You wouldn't pick someone in government?
Yeah, I wouldn't pick someone in government. Because the party has had difficulty explaining some of its struggles. And this is not a very popular government. So if you are trying to tell the public that you're going to do things in a new way, picking a face or a person not associated with the government or not in government is part of the message of newness.
But some would contest that, the vice president himself, who is now flag bearer of the party, is in government.
That's my point. So if you pick someone who is also a minister, you are doubling down on the government. In other words, this is continuity. You have no doubt this is continuity. I think that given where we are as a campaign strategy looking at this, I think that a lot of Ghanaians don't want continuity. In other words, they don't want the MPP, even if it is re-elected, to do the same thing, which is why, of course, the vice president is talking about an aplanke versus a driver. In other words, he himself recognizes that telling people that there will be business as usual is not selling. So if business as usual is not selling, there may be someone who is not in government might help you more, in my view.
I see. Then comes, and you've already alluded to the Alan Chamatin situation and Ashantis and everything in there. Do you feel that looking at where we are, an Alan Chamatin and a Canadian Japan within the party would have served the purpose better, whether as running mates or as candidates?
Yes. I think, and actually, I don't want to mention the name, but when a mutual friend of Dr. Bawumia and myself visited me in the US about, say, a year, 18 months ago, he asked me for advice on behalf of of Dr. Bawumia about choice of running mate. And I told him, of course, I didn't know Alan would leave. I said, if I was Dr. Bawumia and I won, I would pick Alan as my running mate.
You would pick Alan as your running mate if you were Dr. Bawumia?
Yes.
But don't you think Alan also, by his actions and inactions and reactions had made it a bit tricky for such a choice to be made.
Well, that was before he left and all those kinds of things. You know, that was when he was in the party. That was
before
my view. Yeah, that was my view. Having said that, you know, I think certainly the party will be stronger with Alan in than Alan out. I mean, whoever disputes that is not serious. And having said that, actually, if you talk about somebody who, as running mate, will bring energy, actually, it will be Kennedy Japan because, one, he wasn't, quote unquote, a minister in the government, so he faced the outsider label, and he got a lot of energy on the streets when he was running. So from that point of view, he would be somebody that should be worthy of consideration. Of course, there are people who would tell you, as for example, John McCain told George W., I don't want to be running mate, you know. So once the person says that, then that's the end of it. But having said that, those are my views on picking a running mate.
Do you think then that it was an opportunity missed, that after the presidential primary had been held, and maybe there should have been a swift move to get Alan to stay and give him this role so that maybe that would have... And do you think he would have accepted it?
Well, you never know what somebody will do and what they will not do. But I would have pursued that role. If I was Dr. Bawumia, I would have pursued it vigorously with every resource at my disposal, because that would have been one thing certain to improve the chances of the MPP. Having said that, of course, Alan is out there, which means that he could take this election to a second round, and if he goes to a second round, he might have a say. So the MPP would have been better off having him in the fold than out of the fold.
Some of the surveys we have seen point to the NDC making quite a lot of inroads. The last time I hosted the chairman of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketiah, he made mention of the fact that even per their internal surveys and analysis, if elections had been held sometime last week, Thursday, they would secure nothing less than 52% of the vote. But that brings me to this point then. Alan is with the Alliance for Revolutionary Change. What do you think his chances are in election 2024, looking at the pattern of smaller parties or independent groupings in our elections and the fact that, by and large, they've made no impact?
Well, talking about Alan, I actually think the historical analogies don't apply as much as we think, because Alan has better name recognition than a lot of the other people who have run as smaller parties and blah, blah, blah. So if he ran the right campaign, he could have more of an impact on 2024 than we are seeing now. It's quite a few months since he left, and I think that the movement has not moved as much as it should be moving. You know,
the movement hasn't moved as much as it should be
moving. And I also think that listening to Alan, it seems that he is too much of a member of the establishment to shake it. You know, and occasionally he seems to lapse into giving the speeches he would have given as MPP candidate. So the question is not, can he do it? The question is whether he has the inclination to do what he needs to do.
I see.
To make him relevant.
Are you saying we need a more radical Alan Kyerematen?
Yes.
We need a more radical Alan Kyerematen?
Yes. Because otherwise, what's the point of leaving the MPP?
Interesting point. Which then brings me to, there are just a few more points to address. The economy.
Yes.
Some businesses are leaving the country. The claim is that others are also coming in. Of course, you would want to retain and keep adding on. Inflation is where it is, hovering around 25%. We've hit around 54% at a point. It has come down. Unemployment has almost doubled. The rate of unemployment has almost doubled. When you look at the exchange rates. You're looking at the dollar-euro hovering around 16, the pound above 17, and all of these other metrics, cost of living and all that. What do you make of all of this vis-a-vis our IMF program, our IMF-sponsored program?
The truth of the matter is that the IMF will never save us. If it will save us, it will have saved us in each of the 16 or so times we went there. Fundamentally, nobody's plans written in Washington or wherever will save our country. Only Ghanaians can save Ghana. The foundational problem...
I like that. Only Ghanaians can save Ghana.
Absolutely. The foundational problem we have is that too many of us don't produce anything. You know, everybody is a trader. We need to produce things. We even import food, Eziban, despite having some of the best arable lands in all of the world. Africa as a whole is a tragedy. Africa, according to Tony Blair's African Commission report, so it's a few years old, we own 46% of the world's arable land. And at that time, the African Commission was telling us that we're going to be using, now it was 50 billion, and now people estimate that Africa spends about $75 billion a year importing food. We're not talking about cash crops, food that we eat. So if we are not even producing what we eat, we spend millions of dollars importing tomato and toothpicks and all that. We're not a serious country. We like...
So you have a large chunk of what the world needs in terms of arable land, yet you are not using that land, and you are importing
We are
food.
importing, you know. Then they will come and talk about, planting food,
for food and jobs,
whatever and all that. We like sloganeering, you know. We pick as ministers people who don't believe in work. You know, you need to roll up your sleeves. If you're a president, you're picking a cabinet, you need people to tell you, Mr. President, when you put me in this position in 18 months, this is what I will deliver in 2 years. And then in 2 years, you do a reshuffle and you weed out the people who failed and bring out other people. This government has just danced around and done sloganeering. One of the funniest things to Africans abroad is, what do they call, when Nanado says that, we will go beyond aid and we depend on ourselves. Then the next week he's in Washington or wherever begging for handouts.
No, but Ghana beyond aid doesn't mean, even the USA borrows. It has trillions in debt.
So what does it mean? The reason why they can have trillions in debt is that their debt is in US dollars. Ours isn't, you know. So my point is that we need to stop thinking that depending on handouts will turn our country around. We need to actually produce things, you know, toothpick, food, you know, tomatoes. Now, why is it that we import more tomatoes from, say, Burkina Faso than we produce? Is their weather any more conducive to tomato production than
their weather is actually more arid than ours.
Yeah, so why? So every time we keep the slogans, you know, we do this, we do that, and then on the ground, nothing happens. We just talk.
Two things I'm going to take away from your last submission. Only Ghanaians can save Ghana. And so I repeat, only Ghanaians can save Ghana. The words of Dr. Kobina Arthur Kennedy. Not that we've not known this. And Africa as a whole is a tragedy, like you said. You know, it's been said from some literature I read a long time ago, the Congo Basin alone could feed not just Africa, the entirety of the world in terms of production.
Yeah.
In Africa, it is, I agree with you, it's a tragedy. But what then would you make of the other side, the NDC, and their candidate who has chosen a woman, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, and how they have fared so far in terms of campaigning and relevance? He also says, for example, that some of the things we've seen in the past ought to go. You know, for ministers and certain appointees, even DSTV was part of the perks being paid for. Free fuel, housing in some instances and all that. He says in a future NDC government, all of that will go. You don't come into those perks. What do you make of his choice of running mate and his campaign and these comments? That's how we are wrapping.
I think that his choice of running mate is reasonable. And in fairness, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman is a substantive person. You know, she knows the substance of policy. I heard people argue about whether maybe picking a running mate from the Volta region or Greater Accra will have made more sense. All those are reasonable, but Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman is a substantive choice. All the things that you say about him talking about the perks of ministers and all that are the reasons why a second Mahama presidency is intriguing. It's intriguing because he left office in disgrace after the last time about managing a bad government, corruption and all that. And he's an intelligent person. I always assume that he must have reflected on these experiences. And if he is the person I think he is, he would want to leave office this second time with a better record and a better reputation, which makes him a possible vehicle for transformation because he doesn't need to be re-elected or he is ineligible even for re-election. So one can say that all that, you know, glad handing of the NDC because he wants another nomination will be irrelevant. So he can do what he believes is right. From that point of view, if he saw another mandate that way, maybe it will be beneficial to the country. So far, his campaign has been pedestrian. But, you know...
His campaign has been pedestrian.
Yeah, it's been pedestrian. But to give him credit, though, the only idea that has penetrated to the ground this campaign cycle has been the 24-hour economy. Right. I mean, yeah, it's just a slogan, but on the streets, that is what people have, the great transformational plan. Nobody knows what it is. But 24-hour economy, you know, it has ended. Dr. Baumia's technology stuff, you know, nobody really, you know, as one person told me, you know, do we eat Ghana card, you know. So
do we eat Ghana card?
Yeah. So I think that Mr. Mahama, I think he's running a low-risk, careful campaign, and so far he's avoiding mistakes.
Just because you said this, I just want to find out, how about Dr. Baumia? Because he's also said that, look, he doesn't have the steering wheel. Give me the steering wheel. He's in the shadow of the president. Don't you think he too, if he were given the chance, could do something differently, different from what, I mean, as vice president?
That's actually a valid point. He could do something differently. I just think that Dr. Baumia, to his credit, was actually a pretty good candidate in the primaries. You know, yes, they put government machinery behind him and all that kind of thing, which was unfair to the others. But having said that, everybody I've spoken to gave him very good credit for if you give him a lead about somebody who could help, he will follow up, you know, if he had to go to people's house. So he ran a pretty good primary campaign. It means that outside the shadow or away from the shadow of this government, he might be a very, very good candidate and maybe a good president. But, you know, under the circumstances, he lives in the shadow of this government, and that makes it very difficult for him.
Dr. Arthur Kennedy, thank you so much for having breakfast with us. We are greatly pleased to have had you join us in the studio for the first time. What do you make, though, of our... You've never been in, I don't know whether you were in our old studio, but...
Yeah, I think I was in one of your old studios.
Right.
This is pretty fancy. And by the way, let me tell you something. I admire the work Joy FM does a lot. You know, I said it before, brave reporting on Galamsey, very good analysis. So keep it up. This is an organization that we can all as Ghanaians be proud of, and all those of you who work here, you should be very proud of the work you do here.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the glowing tributes. Maybe I should add that in recent times, COO Kenansa has been adjudged CEO of the year again when it comes to media and radio. So we try. We're getting there bit by bit. Dr. Arthur Kennedy is a medical practitioner, he's a medical doctor, and a political activist. He joined us for breakfast today.
Not just the living suffocates when the lights goes off and on. The dead also swelter. The current erratic power supply does not just affect our homes and businesses, but the home of the dead and the business of the mortuary man. In today's episode of Dumso Diaries, we tell you the crestfallen stories of monks suffering from the intermittent power cuts. The recent electricity woes have taken on a new urgency, posing unprecedented challenges for private morgues. The relentless power cuts have triggered an alarming issue that goes beyond just inconvenience, but the rapid decomposition of corpses. The city morgue is among several morgues in Kumasi, bearing severe economic challenges as a result of the intermittent power cuts. Kwame Osueje is a mortician at the City Morgue Limited.
Do some here, fuel na company betono, enye fuel kitwa. Do something there, idea a hard with my edumano, edumano, edu baby a more motage man, scanning our code, police station for ni, Nasina for. To do something hard, to do something there.
The company is left to spend so much on fuel. The situation is affecting our business. Something must be done for us to benefit. Families complain. We have to work extra mile to keep the bodies. Bodies are decomposing more rapidly than usual due to recent power disruptions. Kwame explains how frustrating it is to perform his duties.
I do that now. I attend that no baby I say checky obia body because in the body need by say bibinti on yahu want no person 2 years. Do time no ba fana na bibia here kama. To one ma wa attend that na ma ho anya ha na say bibisia odi akwadwo dia e bia bet me afeti no ma bebere all bodies ne ho.
Say light in so bodies no at the same.
Oh, say was who here fresh. At say wa koku store akotonam na ice na here afrim.
We do suffer a lot as attendants. The outages keeps the body dry, which is not what we expect. It is like losing the eyes on meat bought from the cold store. The bodies are infected and they are not well preserved when the light goes off.
So my chemicals Umani available ekoni mukama ba watumi anye ankoni mu na se bia body no yidu ko to fridge mu fresh sa se bia meba beye na wantumi anye sana mana ma bed bed edum du so na body no benya de benya infected.
The situation presents grieving families with a difficult decision to hurriedly conduct funerals while adding additional stress, emotional torture, and significant monetary strains to their already challenging times. Kofi Odro explains the challenge families go through. The plant sometimes refuses to function. The bodies are not well kept due to the outages. It's destroying our businesses. Families get frustrated anytime they get here to see their bodies dry. Mortician Kwame J is pleading with authorities to provide a load shedding timetable to help enhance his work. We plead with government to do something about the intermittent power cuts. We want something to be done as soon as possible, at least a timetable. For Joy News, Nana Boachidan Kwayadum, Kumasi.
Welcome back on the AM show. Now, usually on Wednesdays, we bring you AM Business by Geng, EcoBank. I'm hosting some guests from EcoBank this morning, and they're not going to talk about AM business. They're talking about who wants to be a millionaire. I know I want to be a millionaire. Right, so it's about the Millionaire Gang, a initiative that EcoBank Ghana is embarking on and helping us, regular individuals like you and I, to become millionaires if we get the opportunity. I've been joined by William Danso Abiam, the head of consumer products at EcoBank Ghana, and Regina Ofori, the head of digital sales at EcoBank Ghana, to talk about this Millionaire Gang. Welcome to the studio, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
How are we feeling? Like millionaires already?
Yes, we are.
Yeah? Okay, so this is a draw, right, where individuals get to partake in. And so who qualifies, first of all, for this EcoBank Millionaire Gang?
Okay.
As is boldly written on your shirt.
Yes. To be part of the Millionaire Gang, you need to have an account with EcoBank.
Okay.
So it means that if you don't have an account, you must have one. So just have an account with us, current account, salary account, savings account. The EcoBank Express account also allows you to be a part of this promotion. Okay. And of course, as our laws indicate, you must be 18 and above to qualify.
All right.
It's just that minimum requirement of having an account with us and being 18 years and above. Then you are naturally a part of the Millionaire Gang, and then you have to do what is required of you to win.
Let me come back. Let's backtrack a bit, William. Tell me briefly about this EcoBank Millionaire Gang. What's the intention behind it? How long is it running? And really, what do you hope to achieve with it?
Okay, so EcoBank, as we usually do, last year we did it, 2 years ago we did it, and this year we are doing it again. It's always been a privilege for us to have the customers we have. So every year we take an opportunity to reward them. So last year we did it, and this year we are doing it, but we changed the style a bit.
Okay.
So this time around, what we are saying is that we are saying thank you to all our customers, but in order to be able to select, winners among them, we decided to come up with this promo that allows our customers to deposit some funds with us. It's more like save. Just save money with us in your account. And once you do that, for a period of 3 months, starting this month, ending in July.
Starting this month?
Yes, so we are already on.
It's been running for nearly a month now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So those who have funds coming into the account this month, they all qualify to be part of it. So for a period of 3 months, all those who bring in funds, you have an opportunity to be part of the winners. I will speak about, what it takes to win. We speak about that.
Okay. No, go ahead. You want to speak about
so the funds you bring in should be in lots of 500 Ghana cedis. So you can bring in 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 10,000, 1 million. But each 500 of that will give you a point. Then you allow the funds to stay in your account for a period of about 7 days. And that also gives you additional points. And once that is done, you qualify to be part of the winners.
Let's break it down. So every 500 cedis is 1 point.
Exactly.
And your 500 cedis or more must stay in your account for at least 7 days before you qualify to partake in the draw.
Yes.
What's at the end of it?
Well, we have exciting prizes for our customers. And when we say a million gang, we mean it. So we have a prize pool worth over 1 million Ghana cedis, hence the name, a million gang.
And by prize pool, you mean that you have 1 million Ghana cedis worth of stuff that you're sharing, distributing among the various winners.
Yes.
Not that one person gets the 1 million Ghana.
So the value of the prizes that we are giving to our customers, and in turn giving it to Ghana, is over 1 million Ghana cedis. And that includes cash, of course. We work with cash, we manage cash. And so we are going to give you back cash for being diligent and putting money in your account. So cash, it's like it's a given.
Okay.
Then on top of that, we have other prizes that we are given. So we have fuel vouchers for you, so that you don't have to keep your eye on the gauge. And when you're driving, you can enjoy the ride.
Do you bring some here? Because I'll take one happily.
Show me your 500 cedi deposit and I'll definitely let you have one.
Okay.
So that's there. And then we also have airtime and data that we are given. So once you make your deposit of 500 or multiples of that, and we have a draw, then the winners are rewarded accordingly. And we have 2 draws in each month. So there's a mini draw that happens mid-month. So that's not, we don't want you to wait for too long. So immediately you make the deposit within 2 weeks. You know, then you'll be expecting that there's good news coming from EcoBank. Okay. So the mini draw happens. And then at the end of the month, there's the ground draw that happens for the month. And the third month, as William said, at the end of July, will be the mother of all draws. You know, where we look at everything that had happened.
Grand
and
finale of draws. Yeah.
And then we reward our customers. And we are not doing this alone. We want to say thank you to NLA, our partners. They've always been with us. And so we are doing this with Caritas. So it is credible. They endorse this, and every winner will be validated. And in fact, they select the winners. So once we actually have the data, we send to them, they validate, and then we work with them, and they declare the winners. At the draw, all EcoBank does is come in, and once NLA says, William is the winner, we hand your prize to you.
Over to
basically.
William. Let me clarify something. So in the first and second draws, that is the mini draws, do the winners qualify to partake again, just in case they win in the grand finale of draws? Or once you win in the first and second draws, in the first and second month, you cannot participate again in the grand finale?
So once you win in the cash, so it's only the cash, because it's the cash draws that you are exempt. But for all the other prizes, repeatedly you can win.
Wow.
So you can win in this mini draw. Okay. Next month you win. The third month you win as well.
Is there any special package reservations for people who are not, you know, really qualified but can partake in this? I'm asking for people like me who don't have 500.
No, please qualify. Please qualify. So come to EcoBank and make a deposit. Because see, we are doing this. William said it's a way of saying thank you to our customers in Ghana, but it's also helping our customers actually cultivate the habit of savings. You know, all of us say times are hard, so we get the money and then quickly it's gone. But we need to get into a place where for us to create wealth for ourselves, you leave something small. So no matter how much your salary is, so even if my salary is 2,000 Ghana cedis, we are saying that, yes, immediately it drops. And all of us are looking at the e-alert. We see that you get the, I don't get alert, right? Once the alert comes, you go away, spend 1,500. The 500 that is left, keep it there for 7 days. And we're actually not asking you to keep it for another month.
Okay.
Just 7 days. So you can actually get time to think through the spending and be sure that you are spending wisely.
Okay.
And so once you do that, then you get rewarded. So it is helping everybody. So try, if it's 300, try and add up, aggregate it so that you get to 500 Ghana cedis. So you also have the habit of saving.
That brings me to this question. Sure. So, William, are these only for individual account holders, or joint account holders can also partake? Because just in case someone's individual account does not have enough, maybe a joint account can collaborate.
So the good thing is that even if it's a joint account, for us, we see it as an account.
Right.
All right. So if it's a joint account, you can still participate in it, but then it's the account that gets to win at the end of the day.
But not for anyone below 18 years.
Yes.
How do we get more information on this?
Okay, so our social media pages are all active with a lot of communication, but our contact center is also available, 080-000-3225. You should reach them.
That was so fast. I didn't
know. 080-000-3225. That's our official line. And if you need any information, if you need to contact us to get more information about it, just reach out to that line and you get more information on this particular promotion.
Okay, now I'll give you each a minute or about 30 seconds to speak directly to our audience, because you're inviting them to partake in this grand draw to be millionaires. What do you have to say? Let's start with you.
So, to Ghana, we say thank you for holding us on. EcoBank appreciates your custom and your loyalty. To our customers, we are here because of you. Thank you so much for trusting us with your money, and be rest assured that EcoBank is the bank you can trust and your money is safe. Now, to say thank you, we are giving back to you our tokens of reward. So please remember, from today, if you have not done that, to the end of July, make a deposit of 500 Ghana cedis or multiples of it into your EcoBank account and sit back and relax, and EcoBank will call you and give you a reward. And when you get that reward, Please don't sit in your corner and just celebrate. Share the joy with us because we would love to hear from you. Take your phone, strike a post, and then you tag us. And when you take a picture, say, "Hey, my God," because that surprise is there for you. And please do not forget, EcoBank will not call you and ask for any money from you. We are not asking you to give us your Ghana card details. Neither would we ask you to give us your bank card, what you call ATM card, your debit card. We are not asking for the number on it or the CVV number on it. None of that will be done. We don't want to do that, and we won't do that. So when anybody calls you and asks for that detail, please be alert. That person will be fraud. It's not coming from us. William gave you the number. Please reach out when in doubt. Thank you, and we are looking forward to your deposit so that you can win in the promotion.
Thank you, Regina. I like how you were just waxing lyrical, going on and on and on, but it's because you know your stuff. That's good. William, what will you add to that?
So I'm sure somebody is asking, how do I bring the money in? You know, we didn't touch on that. So I just want to add that to it, that look, whether your fund is on Momo, your fund is with another financial institution, or possibly you are splitting some funds from outside, let it come straight into your account. Let it stay in for the period of 7 days or more, and you qualify to be part. And we have over 6,000 express points across Ghana. Yeah. So bringing your funds in is not just into our branches, but then we have 6,000 outlets out there, our express points. Just look out for the nearest express point and make your deposit. Maybe you just want to know where can I find that. Go to, pick your phone, any of the network, dial *770#, select 8 more services and look for express point locator. It will just share with you the nearest 3 wherever you are. And you can just walk in there, make your deposit, and be part of this. But please don't stay out of it. We want you to shout, "Hey, my God."
Yes.
Is that a thing?
That's a
yes.
thing.
So
hey, my God. I thought it was EcoBank Millionaire Gang.
Yes. And then you respond, "Hey, my God."
Let's try that. EcoBank Millionaire Gang.
Hey, my God.
Right. So I have to say it. I'll say it when we're wrapping up. So are individuals invited to the grand draw? Are you inviting the public to participate in that as well? Or you do the draw and whoever emerges the winner, you call and arrange and give the person the money?
So when there's a draw, we select. Of course, we can't have everybody. So we invite our customers, and we do this through our relationship managers. And so we ask customers, a few of them to join us. And of course, we also invite our agents. And William mentioned our express points. So we invite the agents to also join us. So yes, it's a draw that is open to the public, but it's not everybody. So we won't announce and say, "Come to this place."
Okay.
It's participation by invitation. So that's what happens when we're having the draws.
Right. Thank you so much, William Abiam and Regina Ofori. William is head of consumer products at EcoBank Ghana, and Regina Ofori is head of digital sales at EcoBank Ghana for this EcoBank Millionaire Gang.
Hey, my God.
There you have it. So if you want to be a millionaire and you do not have 999 point something to add 1 to it, the fastest way for you to do that is to join the EcoBank Millionaire Gang. And it's simply as putting 500 Ghana cedis, he said, in your account and making sure it stays there for at least 7 days.
Yes.
Well, that's the end of this belt of the conversations, but there's still more to come on the AM show. Stick and stay. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Thank you.
Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for us to get interactive with you. You saw that conversation on AM Business, and before that, that conversation with Dr. Arthur Kennedy, and before that, that conversation on the AG and everything in between. But today it's been, even if we say so ourselves, it's been an
Even
interesting...
if we say so ourselves, Benjamin. I just saw something on our social media. I think they posted a question on the AM show that which arm of government do you think needs the most reform? I think it was based on the back of the conversation we're having on this ambulance case. And A, the options were A, judiciary, B, executive, C, legislative. And some of the comments crack my ribs, Benjamin.
Tell me about
One person says, none of them is productive as far as the progress of the country is concerned. We need to kick all these old folks out and bring in new, young, vibrant leaders to steer the affairs of the nations. But while we get through some of the comments, the phone lines are open as well. This is where the regular Kojos and Amas get to interact with us right here on the show. So phone in if you're watching and let's get the conversations going.
And the number is at the bottom of your screen, 0302-211-691, 0302-211-691. What's on your mind? But Arthur Kennedy left us with a lot to think about. Only Ghanaians can, develop Ghana, change the fortunes of Ghana. He says Africa, the African story is one of tragedy and everything in between. And also interesting, he seems to think former President Mahama will have certain initiative because he will have only 4 years if he becomes president, and that he thinks he has learned lessons that he could bring to bear. But he also says, Dr. Bawumia, well, he too, though he's a part of this administration, maybe if given the steering, could do something, maybe. Interesting. I like the likes of Dr. Nyao Tamaklu, Dr. Arthur Kennedy, Professor Fufo Bati, because, maybe what can they speak their minds, and it's interesting listening to them because I free my mind.
But these are options, Benjamin. And I was listening to someone on the way home, I don't remember the station, on Sunday, and they said, if you don't think Mahama deserves the seat because he's been in power before and he didn't do anything different, your option is someone who says he's not in a position of power, yet he's a vice president. So, these are the two major
and one touted
parties.
as a very effective.
Right. And so, do you want to jump from frying pan to fire, or should we go and wake John Rollins?
Anyway, let's take our first caller. Baba is on the line. Baba, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Please, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Teshi.
Baba, please, what are your thoughts for us this morning?
My thought is about yesterday's speech. Please, let truth prevail. Let's face the fact. Attorney General, do you think if he's not resigned, he can sit on some police case in Ghana again? And so, the fellow will have trust in that court. So the right thing for him to do is to resign. Because now, if he didn't resign, and somebody had case and they are going in front to him, he would have to believe that he is going to deal with justice. Matter, Ghana has now 10. How can we be in a country that they will tell us birth certificate is not working? It is passport is working. Matter, look at last when they went for this, how do you call it? LGBTQ.
Right.
You can see that the Attorney General was convicted himself. Only the judge to come to tell him the right thing to do. The man doesn't know what he's doing. You see, but they are imposing him on us. Look at last, when they went at the LGBTQ, he was contradicting himself. It's the judge who tells him to change his views. Other than that, he will going to discuss himself. Matter, and we should give us an update. They've come to change the whole laws of Ghana, and we are prepared to talk. Matter.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Baba, for sharing your thoughts on this matter. Baba sounds very passionate.
Yeah. He says they're imposing him on us.
Imposing the Attorney General. Well, he was appointed, by the appointor, the president. And
SMP.
Anyway, if you're minded to do so, you can also call in and share your thoughts. 0302-211-691. 0302-211-691. Who is it that we have? Is it Julius?
Julius is on the line. Julius, thanks for joining the conversation. What's on your mind?
Julius, where are you calling from? Is it Peki?
Peki, yeah.
Okay. All right. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I want to find out, has there ever been any wrong person in the NPP party?
Have there ever been what?
Any wrong person, or has there ever been somebody who has done something wrong in the party before? Because whatever they do, even an ordinary Ghanaian, a very small boy could even detect that this is very wrong, very, very wrong for any human being to do. yet the party members will come and defend them. Now, the Attorney General has a spokesperson. Why are they not defending the AG? And then the party members are taking it to defend him.
But the spokesperson has actually, the spokesperson for the AG's department, Isaac Wilberforce-Mensah, he's actually been speaking to us.
Okay. So he hasn't responded to... Hello, Benjamin.
Are you there?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm here.
I was just letting you know that the spokesperson, you said the spokesperson hadn't spoken. I'm just saying that the AG's spokesperson has actually had some interactions with us, even on the probe last Sunday and on Monday on this very show. But you go ahead and make your point.
Okay. So what I want to ask is, why can't the MPP party members be human at least to admit a wrong in the party? Anybody who does something wrong is seen to be defended. We see this to be very, very wrong. Benjamin, I leave it to you to discuss. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Julius, for calling all the way from Peki. I always like to situate the matters in their proper context. But this thing, I don't know, I have my own sentiments on where this will leave us when all is said and done. You see, it's like Dr. Arthur Kennedy said, some things you may even have a good motive for doing them, but you do it in a bad way, and you don't want that precedent to be set. So you probably shouldn't do it, and if you've done it, accept your error and move on. I don't know. But one thing, we simply don't have the culture in Ghana of saying, oh, you know, maybe I'm not technically mistaken, but I feel with the way things are looking, you know what, let me allow the system to, I've resigned or I'm moving off. We don't, and that is why I found it interesting. I know we have a caller on the line. When Laia Kingston recently left the Black Starlets, right, maybe how he did it, but in other jurisdictions, this is common. I meant to take you here, I lost a certain match, I've left, like Miko, you know?
We have a caller on the line. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Akon John. I'm calling from Elimina.
Okay. Share your thoughts with us.
Yes. The reason why I'm calling is the way NPP government is doing right now is not fair, because I don't understand certain issues. LGBTQ wait there for this court. She didn't talk anything about that again. Every day, every night, forcing issue. This, I don't like it at all. Please, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing.
It's like people are looking forward to concluding on this LGBTQ matter, huh?
Yeah, but if I look in my crystal ball, it's not an issue that will be completed per what we are anytime soon.
So, Kweko Fosu says, as Ghanaians, we need to change our behavior. Only then can we force the leaders to toe the line. We are corrupt, we are lazy, we are greedy. We want an easy life at the expense of our neighbors. The leaders are Ghanaians too. So I'm not surprised that we are where we are today. Until we make a conscious effort to change, we should forget about the development of any kind. Ghana must think. I found that very interesting. Our leaders are a reflection of who we are as a people.
Maybe not everybody, but we have a caller from Joje. Is this Stephen?
Yeah, this is Stephen.
All right, Stephen, you're our final caller. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm calling from Joje. I'm actually living in Lagos. I just came here a couple of days, and I'm watching your program. I have just two issues. I'm an IT engineer by profession.
What engineer?
When you're recording somebody, this month I was listening to
IT.
And then they were talking about recording up to 26 minutes, and then we got 50 minutes recorded. But if you want to record somebody, you may not start recording at the time of conversation. You may hit your recorder in the conversation. And people saying that where is the extra minute? It doesn't make sense to me. And then I feel the Attorney General, these people will always come in those days. They do the wrong thing and fled. Now, I have also an issue with this. A lot of people saying, Muhammad, as I am aware, during late terms, Clinton came and gave us $67 million to stop the crisis. Kufuor came attempting to
You're really breaking up. You're really breaking up. I don't know.
Hello.
Can we try one last time? Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yes, so my first issue, I'm done with that. I'm talking about Dumsor. I want people to understand that Mahama did not bring Dumsor to Ghana. Dumsor has started a bit somewhere late second term of Rawlings when Bill Clinton even came and donated $67 million to stop energy crisis. We continue. Kufuor came and met it. Timecodes came, and then Mahama rather came to solve the problem when the issue actually got escalated. NPP held a press conference in this country telling us that electricity bills are higher than our rents, especially when the electricity bills were increased because government said they needed money to buy gas into Anaeri plants.
Okay. So we do have to go, but we're grateful. We're grateful. I don't think the elaboration will help because we have to go, but I think your point is made. Thank you very much. We're going to just quickly take our photo of the day, and then we shall be... okay, all right. So we'll bring that to you tomorrow. We're going to have to cap it off here. I've enjoyed today's conversations.
Yep.
I've enjoyed them.
I can tell from your face. You have that smirk on your face, Benjamin.
Smirk, pal. Anyway, this is how we draw the curtains on the show. On a smirky note, Sweetie Abochi and yours truly. Up next is...
Joy News Desk. Stay for that. And belated happy birthday to Aisha again. Yesterday I ate your jollof. It was mwah. All right. See you tomorrow.
I see.